Welcome back to the OCS for an inaugural second week. It's not really inaugural, is it? My name's Jake Asterix, Aussie Penko, and next to me, Bradley T-Gun Seymour, joining me for another week.
Yeah, great to be here. Hopefully we have upsets like we did last week.
We had a couple of upsets. We had a couple of issues last week as well because rosters came through. They powerhoused their way through the competition and defined what is the OCS. But T-Gun, for this week, it is week 2, so we get to see more matches. Now, for those of you at home, you do not see Wednesday's matches. That is a bit of a change-up for you. Wednesday, not broadcasted, but here's exactly how they went. With yesterday's games, we started with Mammoth Academy, and now finally, T-Gun, they got a win against Ground Zero Gaming.
Yeah, but it wasn't very convincing. I saw the end game, and I caught a little bit of it. It was about 35, 36 minutes, and Mammoth, we were expecting to be a top 4 team very solidly with a great roster, many players have played OPL. Haven't put it together yet, but on the other side, Ground Zero, good performance from them. But
still a Mammoth win nonetheless, so they're sitting 1-1. And Intuition, second week in a row, they've come out of the barrel strong.
And you had to expect it, right? Fantix, incredible player, still subbing in there in the top lane until I believe next week we'll see Fudgy. And also, Dream doing extremely well, as expected, because he's an OPL player. On the other side, Darksided were mucking around a bit with some roster changes, trying to figure out their synergy. They had Command, who played mid lane last week, playing in the jungle. They had Odza subbing in and going top, and Ark coming into mid lane. So trying to figure out the best composition for them to go forward.
It's strange with Darksided, so we're going to see if they can get back on their feet. But for the third and final game of yesterday, Tectonic Academy took a loss against Dire Cubs, who were walking through the competition.
And what an impressive start to the season for them.
Yeah.
This was a roster that most people didn't find impressive and didn't expect a lot from. And starting 2-0 now, you have to think they're the underrated team coming into it.
You'd have to think the Dire Cubs, no one expected them to be there, but they're now sitting ahead with Intuition. For today's games, however, I think we've got a couple of doozies on the line because we have Crimson Gaming to kick us off. We did not have Crimson before. We didn't get to see them last week as we did have a couple of forfeits due to roster issues. But now for tonight, we see Crimson Gaming taking on Bombers Academy, Emprox taking on Legacy Genesis, who had a rough first week.
And then I believe our match of the night, Chiefs Academy versus QUT Tigers. Big things expected from QUT Tigers here. And then to finish off the night, Order Academy versus Avant Academy.
Yeah, but for our first matchup with Crimson Gaming taking on Bombers Academy. Now, Crimson Gaming, we talked them up last week, T-Gun, but we didn't get to finish. With Crimson Gaming, it is about the roster. 5 members strong, and they've got some likable names.
Yeah, and I mean, the biggest of which would be Sirius in the top lane. Yeah. Former, I believe, AV plays top 4 with him, and he's always done really, really well, very consistent. So I would say if you're going to go with Crimson, that's the lane that they would be focusing through.
I'd also be focusing on that bottom lane. Raining and Vans, they have been synergizing well in the offseason as far as I know, and in previous seasons we've been playing together quite a lot. Valaris we know well, and of course Scam Diggity, who has been a pretty aggressive jungler in the past.
And then on Bombers, I think it comes down to the mid-bot sort of trio. You got Sprenstarmer at ADC and Iogus, formerly Miss Fish, at support. All 3 of those have played together before and sort of shown their consistency in both the OCS and Christmas Trees. Now, Treesy in the OPL, I've got to talk him up. He's my boy.
Of course you do. Good old Treesy.
And hopefully, playing through there, they can then help out their top and jungle and sleeping in Sugoi.
Because the middle lane isn't really going to be, I guess, the focus in this game. It's the top side for series, the OPL player that we want to focus on. But then the bottom side, I feel like that's where we really start honing in.
Yeah, well, here's what I think is, I think as good as Miss Fish and Sprenstarmer are, it's going to be a difficult game for them. And that's a hard thing to say because that's where Bomber's strength lies, is in the bot lane. So I'm expecting big things from Raining and Vans and likely going to be seeing that shown in the pick ban phase.
Well, let's see potentially if for Sprenstarmer and Miss Fish, now known as Iogus, if they can step up huge. Now for Bombers Academy, also known as B52, I love the tag, they have got a big mission ahead of them. Crimson Gaming, they come in with 1 win and they look big on the roster. Let's see if they can perform in their essentially first week.
And like I said, the first 3 bans, Kai'Sa, Karma, Morgana, all focused towards the bot lane. Now Kai'Sa and Morgana, maybe they're not focusing towards the bot lane, just removing the strongest champions on the patch, but it sort of sets the tone, especially from Crimson's side, being both support bans, that is where they're focusing. They're trying to restrict the champion pool, perhaps even lead him onto playing something with a pocket pick kept behind, and even solidifying that with a Rakan ban.
Well, because remember, we didn't see the Kaiser in the last week. It was open many times, and with such a powerful pick that's been demonstrated internationally, on 8.9, this is still huge, so it's curious. We have the double tier Ezreal taken away as the final ban for Bombers Academy, and looks like for Crimson Gaming, bottom lane still remains priority.
Yeah, and taking Braum here first, I'm not sure I really like it. They have banned out most of the things that are really difficult for him to deal with, but at the same time, when you place that much priority on support, I like leaving it for a counter pick. Because in the bot lane, the ADC pick doesn't matter too much compared to how powerful the support pick can be, so I'm not sure I agree with the choice, but at the same time, maybe they've scouted their opponent really well and found that Mistfish, now Iogus, just does not do well in the brawl.
Well, Crimson Gaming, they're not intimidated that they've left the Trundle open, a very highly contested pick, even here in the OCS. Caitlyn's going to be responding as well. Friendstummer wants to win that lane.
Now, I did say ADC picks didn't matter that much, but Caitlyn, well known as probably the strongest ADC in terms of pure laning potential. I expect to see something like Xayah as a counter pick. They could go to Sivir if they really wanted to, but I'd really expect to see it just end up Caitlyn versus Xayah.
McGraves gets locked in as well as a response. 8.9, that seems to be the go-to on as well.
Assuming it's Trundle in the jungle. The strength in him does lie that he can be flexed into other lanes as well.
Yep.
Obviously, he is most seen in the jungle right now, but maybe that's a little presumptive from Crimson locking in Graves, but at the same time, Graves is just great anyway, so it's fine to take. Ornn, I want to touch on for a bit, is widely regarded as the safest blind pick you can take top.
It's a serious pick as well.
It is, but it's also just, there's nothing that anyone can really pick that's surprising into it that's going to really amaze you or really make your life difficult in lane.
I think so. For Ornn, we'll have to see what he's going up against, whether it is that Trundle or whether Bombers Academy play with the flex a little bit. As we moved into the second ban phase, Iogus actually picked up the Lulu, which you have to assume is down in the bottom lane, can be flexed again. So I feel like Bombers are playing quite well with the assumptions from Crimson Gaming.
I'm never going to assume that something's going to support anymore. No, I'm making that mistake again.
Not after last week.
No.
How was your house, by the way?
It's gone.
Man, I tell you what, in Sydney Market, you would have got a fair bit for that, but unfortunately, you had to give it away.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Sure, Lulu's going support. Caitlyn and Lulu are going to be able to push pretty much regardless of what ADC gets taken, especially with 2 ADC bans.
Yeah, wow.
And this is why I was sort of confused that they picked up Graves and Ornn, was because they let the Xayah get banned away. Varus also another strong laner getting taken away. So now what do they go to? I have to assume it might be Sivir, but that doesn't really seem like a strong lane. Sure, you can wave clear, but you have to be able to hit the wave to do that.
Treasy's just lost his Cassiopeia. That's one thing that's been left out a little bit there, is that for Treasy, he loves that champion so much. It's like waking up on a cold winter's morning with a hot glass of milk. I don't know what happens in the country, but that's kind of the sentiment there. With 480 carry bans and now left for Bombers Academy, they pick up the San and no longer thinking that, well, there is actually a triple flex happening here. That can still be a San mid
they're playing themselves if they do that. They would be disappointing DJ
or
Khaled.
Are they playing us?
No, they would absolutely be playing themselves.
Okay, all right.
Without a doubt. Saving mid for last pick, I do like that, especially with the narrowing of the pool. Talia Cassiopeia banned, as you said, Cassiopeia, Trees' strongest champion.
Yeah.
I think he might be looking for, I'm not sure if he plays it, but LeBlanc is pretty strong right now, and if the focus is on bot lane, it's one of the champions that makes its way there pretty quickly.
So Emprox Chaz pop off on LeBlanc, so keep your eyes peeled onto Bombers Academy. Now for the last pick for Crimson Gaming, they've got their mid laner, they've got the top side of the map, but it's that 80 carry that Raining has been forced onto. There's one left, and you haven't protect the Cogmore composition in the making. It's going to be cemented with Cogmore itself.
Yeah, I'm still worried about the laning for them, though. Cogmore is a champion that once he gets probably 2 items, he's going to be really difficult to deal with, especially considering you have Caitlyn, which is going to fall into a power trough at that point.
Yeah.
So as long as they can get to that point without falling too far behind or even just staying steady, it'll be great for Crimson Gaming. It's just, can they get there?
Well, they've got a disruptive comp on the side of Bombers Academy, though, Tiga. This is a comp that is, in my opinion, could be difficult to execute.
I think Zoe as a pick is really underrated.
Yeah.
Right now, at least. Because it was so strong. No, it was amazing at one point, and people knew that. And it got pick banned until it just got absolutely gutted, and now it's received a couple quality life changes.
Yeah.
So picking it up here, especially against Protect the Cog comp, if the Sleepy Trouble Bubble is managed to weave through onto the Cogmore, that is huge for Bombers Academy. And that's what you're going to see him doing most of the game, is even potentially roaming bot early, because Zoe does work well with roams as well.
Because there is pick potential in that comp. For Bombers Academy, we have not seen them yet. They were unable to play last week, but for Crimson Gaming, it was the same there. This is essentially week 1 for both of these teams, and I'm looking at ease of execution in this draft phase.
I mean, if you go for Eves' execution, it has to go to Crimson because they have a much simpler comp.
Yeah.
Keep the Cogmore alive. Done. Simple. Whereas on the other side, you have Bombers who have a little bit more nuance in it, especially with the Zoe. The Zoe's going to be on the sidelines, flanking, coming in at odd angles, trying to just weave her skill shots around the sides. So it's a bit more difficult, but the payoff is bigger for Bombers if they manage to execute.
I think for Crimson Gaming, that bottom side has been the focus. They left it till last. They were worth banning out 4 80 carry picks, but still doesn't seem phased. Half surprised we didn't see the Draven from Reigning. He's got a deep champion pool, and the man loves Draven.
You have to assume they meant to, like, they were planning to take Cogmore there pretty much regardless of what happened, though.
Yeah.
With the way they focus the bans, they sort of led him into taking Caitlyn. Sure, there was a couple other things he could have taken, but that was the main one. And then they wait till they pick it. I think they picked it last, right? So they had to assume going into it, it was, I would say, 99% Cogmore, 1% Draven, and nothing else.
It's a good idea to kind of flex. You love flexes in draft, don't you? It's like your
I love flexing in general.
But, however, that was fantastic, by the way. That was your first joke. We've been here for 2 weeks, and I've been waiting, Tegan, like, for the soil to be thrown, I guess is how...
The more you explain the joke, the worse it gets,
well,
so let's just move on.
I'm not going to explain it anyway. I'm going to jump into the first game for Tegan Flexes another time. It's going to be Crimson Gaming taking on B52, also known as Bombers Academy. And for the OCS, this is their first match where they jump on the Rift completely.
And we see both of them fan out. Very passive, very, I want to say, tentative plays from the level 1, not wanting to give anything away. We see it internationally and also locally. When bad things happen level 1, the underdogs tend to benefit from it. So I'm surprised Bombers didn't try to go down that avenue. But with this basic fan, what I assume is going to happen is junglers in this situation might start opposite sides from each other.
We know that aggressively Scam Diggity is going to be on a comfort here because going into Sleepy's jungle nice and early. That's what a Graves does well. So we're going to be looking for that deep vision. And for Scam and Willaris, there has been a synergy that's been there for at least a year now. Scam Diggity has been making an impression on this mid lane. And Willaris, he will always default back to a Orianna, to a classic control mage that can have high impacts later in the game. And Scam is no exception.
Absolutely, and I think the big thing about control mages is even though they tend to scale later, they can still be played extremely well early, as we see Scam Diggity and Series coming in to try and disrupt this red buff from Sleepy.
Segoy's actually spotted this one out. The red will be reset at this rate. Scam and Series turning their attention back to Segoy, and maybe he's in a bit of trouble as he charges up for the Q. Segoy getting very low here. This could be an early first blood flash over the wall from Segoy, and that is not a good start for Bombers.
Yeah, and what we saw there was the right idea from Bombers to try and flank together and engage on these two, but just missed the execution a little bit. I would actually give the edge to them because Sion, his passive, when he dies, he's just going to keep trucking on them, and at level 1, that's a huge amount of damage.
Really, no first blood, but an early impact from the jungler in Scam Diggity. Sleepy will ignore it completely. He goes down to the red side, teleport forced out of Segoy in the top side. And now does Scam Diggity go for an early gank, or does he go back into his jungle and try and keep up with Sleepy?
I think this was brilliant by Sleepy to come down straight into the enemy red buff to maintain the ability to jungle. If he doesn't do this, he gets 3 buffed by Scam Diggity. And if you get 3 buffed, especially in the current state of the game, it is incredibly difficult to maintain pace with the enemy jungler, experience-wise and impact-wise in the game.
Reigning and Van, the bottom lane that you want to focus on. Naturally going to get pushed into this lane. You don't pick Caitlyn to have a great team fight against Cogmore. You pick it for moments like this. And Iogus, classic back in the day, Missfish, 2014, 2015. You saw him on the Lulu. It's good to have him back again. Scam Diggity back in Sleepy side of the jungle.
And I think this is going to be the aim for Crimson at this point, is cut the map in half. Instead of taking your own blue and then your own red, you just take the enemy's opposite buff, whatever it is. For Scam Diggity, it's obviously the red side from Bombers, and for Bombers, it's the red side of Crimson. And this will probably lead to a lot of focus top side from Crimson, which is sort of what we expected. But against a Sion, it's a bit weird. Sion's a difficult champion to dive. He has a lot of tools at his disposal to both clear the wave and defend from aggression. So, interesting choice, but I think they can do it with the Ornn.
We're still keeping our eyes peeled on Scam Diggity. He's hanging around the top side, and like you said there, T-Gun, what is he going to be able to do? Probably not much.
Not much with how passive he's playing.
But the bottom side for Sleepy, that is doable. It is still encounters a dive, but against Reigning and Vans this early on could be the difference for B52 to get ahead.
I don't think we see a dive bottom from Sleepy. I think that's too much to ask right now, especially with how badly he got impacted level 1 with the invade from Crimson. What he's likely going to do is base, get a couple just defensive items and power farm through the jungle as opposed to coming to lanes and expect his lanes to hold their own.
Raining is not having a good time in this lane. Stands on a trap and maybe is doubting Sprenstarmer a little bit. Experience from Sprenstarmer. Previously from Sin Academy, moved his way up, and now you see him on Bombers Academy in such a crucial split of the OCS. Raining and Vans pulling back.
The way he plays this lane has to be how he plays against every Caitlyn. Now, what a lot of pro players do is they turn off the name tags. They just play against champions instead of thinking, how does this player play? And that's what he should be doing. Because I think you were spot on in that he underestimated his opponent and has been punished rightfully so for it.
Sleepy dropping a ward. He's going to get some early vision there and hop his way back out. For someone who lost his red buff so early, Sleepy has been keeping up quite well, and this is the benefit. We haven't seen much out of Sleepy or Sugoi, and for their first game in the OCS, this is a good start.
I think the big detriment to that red buff invade wasn't actually on Sleepy, it was in the top lane on Sugoi. You can see he's down a bunch of CS as we see in a gank in the mid lane.
Maybe the impact first will come onto Alara as he flashes away immediately. Tree's not going to get anything.
Unlucky miss on that Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but great idea from Bombers, looking to get that Trundle involved even after that detrimental early game.
An early impact from Bombers. We'll see what else they can achieve. Going down to the top side and coming to the bottom side. The gank that we've been waiting for from Scam Diggity.
And it's going to work. He gets the flash really early. I think that's the right thing from Sprenstarmer, though. If you're going to flash there, you do it straight away. You don't try and save the summoner just to be greedy, because what will end up happening is he'll either have to burn heal or lose his whole health pool, and that's just as bad as losing the summoner.
But how does this affect the jungle pathing right now? Maybe not Raining. Still going forward, and Iogus has to be careful where he stands. The Cogmore not be underestimated either early.
I think the biggest influence from that gank into this lane was Raining's able to walk up now. They're able to play aggressively into the Caitlyn Lulu, which means when Cogmore's able to freely walk up with his W1, Braum can walk up, throw the shield in front of him and try and start proccing that passive. This becomes a completely different lane to what we were seeing earlier, where Sprenstarmer and Iogas were just happily pushing to the tower and sort of poking them down.
That freedom should be able to catch up. Sprenstarmer back into the shield of Vans. Still 10 CS ahead of the Cogmore. The expected start, but what you have to focus on now is Scam Diggity to the bottom side, in the bottom side river, and it looks like jungling has kind of gone back to normal with Sleepy, who's fallen behind but now picks up the Krugs on the top side.
I want to say going back to this sort of jungling style is actually worse for Bombers. The more Scam Diggity is able to help out bot lane and sort of neutralize the lane and potentially even get another gank off here, the worse it's going to be for Bombers.
Remember, Sprenstarmer does not have flash. He will get stunned up and he will get first blood into Scam Diggity.
That's what I was worried about, was Crimson making that really proactive play, punishing the lack of a summoner. They weren't able to do it top, but now you see them do it bot. And this is the biggest problem Bombers are going to have, is how do they deal with this Cogmore if he starts scaling earlier than expected?
Oh, it's going to be a huge start now, and what was kind of balancing out for Bombers has led to a 1k gold lead for Scam Diggity. The Graves goes back and is one step closer to the Warrior Enchantment. And now this is going to be a lot more dangerous. The bottom side, the focus continues to be Raining and Van's support. For B52, where do they go next? Where will you see Sleepy making an impact?
I think they might look to either cheese an early dragon or potentially start trying to take buffs away from Scam Diggity if he tries to be aggressive and take more gank opportunities. I don't know if Sleepy trying to mirror where Scam Diggity is would be that effective, considering Graves' strength early on compared to Trundle's lack of relative strength there. So if I'm Sleepy, I try and think of where the jungler is and just go somewhere else and take objectives away from him and let your team know where the Graves is.
You consider that the 6-6 head-to-head from Sleepy and Scam is probably going to work out for Scam, but he's got a bit of support coming through from Sleepy. Iogus walks down, will get the polymorph, and the slows there as well for Sleepy. Challenges, almost going to be the ace in the hole, but not found. Sleepy Trouble Bubble comes down as well. Scam getting a bit ambitious, maybe overly so.
That was just a good collapse from Bombers. I think that was the right idea from Scam Diggity. Start poking your head in maybe where you don't belong and abuse that advantage you've got. But Bombers collapse well, and they're going to reap the rewards.
And then Infernal Drake this early. Scam goes over the wall. Has to flash as well. Oh no. T-Gun's head in his hands.
Now, the flash is actually the right idea, because he has no way to get out. He can't keep autoing and try and get it E faster or anything like that. The flash is the right idea. But that being said...
A little bit late.
No, not even that. He came in late, but it looked like Bombers were already leaving. It looked like they hadn't even noticed he was in the pit. So if he was going to be greedy and just sort of sit there and skirt around the edges, he might have been able to get out purely because he had come in so late.
Bomber's probably like, he'll flash anyway. It's no problem. We get a freebie. But an Infernal Drake to pull back some of that gold lead. Hang on, the top lane does not look too good. Sugoi starting to bully out series. And although there's a CS discrepancy you can see on your screen, 20 CS... won't balance itself out if there's a kill that comes to Sugoi. He has his teleport available. Series does as well. These top laners getting bullied out, and the one-on-one working out nicely.
This is interesting. He's between towers. That is so aggressive from Sugoi. That's something you don't expect from an unexperienced player like him. But knowing when he's strong and just saying, you know what, you don't get to be greedy with your recall under the tower. Walk your way home. Very, very smart from him. And I think what we're seeing at this point in the top lane is the poke from Scion's E starting to do some damage onto Ornn, whereas earlier on, because of the lack of the flash, he just wasn't able to get going.
Remember, that's going to catch up as well. Only 10 CS now for Sugoi. And for Crimson Gaming, I guess there hasn't been the same impact that I've seen consistently throughout the map. This is a common issue we talked about last week in the OCS, the very first week, is that consistency across the board. Now, there was pressure down the bottom side, but for Scamdig, it feels like he's maybe trying to impact mid, trying to get Willaris off the ground and shut down Treasy before he can roam more around the map. I'm
not sure I agree too much with you there, because while they're not consistently getting ahead, they are slightly ahead in every lane. There's CS leads in top and middle, and bot lane has already got the kill on Caitlyn and sort of slowed down the amount that Caitlyn and Lulu can either push the lane or damage the tower. So we're not seeing them get these great kills or these really big outplays, this huge thing, but they are just slowly working towards their win condition, their goal, which is get the Cogmore to 2, maybe 3 items. As we see, great Orianna ulti, we see the Ornn walk down.
Call of Forge God will knock Treasy. In fact, no. Slips by him a little bit there. Lars pulls the trigger, Series pulls the trigger, that's 2 ults down.
The idea was right. Again, the execution just a little off that Call of the Forge God, just missing by a very, very slight bit. But that Orianna ulti was perfect. Pulled him back towards the mid lane, caught him after him using his abilities.
But now he doesn't have that ultimate available. Valaris flashed down again from a sleepy gank.
It's sort of that thing where since they didn't get their gank off, he was just pushing a bit and trying to be aggressive to rectify that, and he gets caught sleeping by Sleepy, coming in at the right angle and just forcing the flash really quickly.
Will be spotted by a control ward. Sleepy has to walk back, but Treasy committing as well. For Bombers Academy, they want to make this play work. Raining has flash and he'll use both, but Vans is going to be the target now. He'll be knocked back, hit again. The Ignite ticking, but it should not finish him off until Vans gets sniped. Ace in the hole. Cogmore goes walkies.
Very, very good execution by Bombers there. Difficult at the best of times to dive a Braum. They get the kill. They almost got both. They might have deserved it after that, but they are going to get the tower. It's not first tower gold, actually. They're going to lose 2 mid due to this Rift Herald.
This Rift Herald was great placement from Crimson Gaming there. Scam and Willaris focus. They're going to get an inner this early in the game. And that's a 2k gold lead. Rift Herald will get another charge. Bit of damage on the inhibitor turret. And wow, oh wow. For Crimson Gaming, this is a very good start to open up the middle of the map.
And I want to just go back to that Rift Herald positioning. That was brilliant by Crimson. I've said this, I said it last week, was with the new Rift Herald, where you place it and how you use it is paramount to getting effectiveness
about
out of it.
40% more. What was the extra damage buff?
I believe it's about 40% more on the headbutt.
Yeah.
And getting, I think they might have got 3 headbutts off there because they took down the mid outer and the mid inner.
1.5k health
big.
and it got that. It's a huge start. I think T-Gun right now, for Willaris, this might opt him to join up a little bit. You're always going to have an Orianna in the mid lane, but Raining and Vans. When can we unlock them? When's the rotation going to come down to that bottom side? Vans and Raining. Like you said before, they're working towards their win condition. They've got a great scaling comp. They've enabled themselves this early on. And for Crimson Gaming, they don't have to do anything. They sit back, they relax. The Bombers try to speed things up by making this turret dive or turret pressure happen in the top side.
I think this is what they need to do. They need to start taking down towers and getting to the group phase a bit early to utilize Pitlock's strength at this point. The slower the game goes, the worse it is for them. And after they've lost those 2 mid towers, the game is just open, right? The mid towers are what really controls where you can and can't go on the map. Not having any towers makes it really difficult for them, so they need to start taking down that outer ring and potentially looking to start forcing some 5v5s. Not sure if they can. It's all going to come down to can Treasy land the Sleepy Trouble Bomb.
At the moment, he's been struggling a little bit here in this lane matchup against Willaris. Only 1 kill to his name. Luden's Echo sits there as well. Scam invading and continually applying that pressure for Crimson Gaming. The bot side now joining up. They've gotten that bottom side turret, and with an open mid, you feel like the next progressive move for Crimson Gaming is either the top side or the Infernal Drake that's coming up next.
It's absolutely going to be the Infernal Drake. Now, Bombers have already got 1, so taking 1 just sort of levels the playing field, but they need to do that because if Bombers manage to get a second Infernal Drake,
wow,
no longer does it become a question of can they scale.
There's
now,
an
with
angry
team
charge,
fight,
T-Gun. There's going to be the knock-up as well. Scam Diggity will lock them against the wall. The burst from Graves damage is huge, and B52, they've got series in as well, and Crimson Gaming are cleaning this fight up. An overkill on the Shockwave, maybe, but Crimson Gaming say, okay, no worries, we'll take it for 2.
Great play from Crimson, then peeling back, making sure the Scion ulti couldn't connect onto the Cogmore, and then the second he's out of that ultimate, they start converging.
Treasy should find a kill, and that's an easy one on series. Maybe series should have walked back further.
That's what we were expecting from Zoe, is playing on the outskirts, looking for any fight that you can find that isn't part of the main fight, because you want to pick these people off maybe at the end of fights, maybe before they begin, and try and chip down the team that way, because you don't have the strength of an Orianna in the middle of a fight.
Now, with a couple of ults down, Sprint Starmer feels confident to push up against Willaris, but this level 11 Orianna will not have to go without that ultimate for too much longer. A big start for Crimson Gaming, one that continues to grow. 3,000 gold in the lead with that Infernal, and that last fight just pushed ahead Scam Diggity even further. He is 1,500 up on Sleepy. Remember that for the Graves, the target, the idea is, let's get ahead nice and early.
Not even get ahead early, just get ahead and stay ahead. Build items that let you brawl, let you duel, and keep going forward. He's not going to build defensive yet. The most defensive thing he'll build is maybe a Frozen Mallet, right? He's never going to be that guy that builds a Thorn Mail, builds anything that has any real substance in terms of keeping you alive. His goal is to get in, blow all of his abilities, get all his damage out, and that's it. And hopefully, by the time that's done, the enemy's dead.
Well, for Crimson Gaming, they're already sitting 1-0 after the first week, and it looks like this is a good early start. This will be a setup for them towards this mid-game, because now, as we move into it, Raining and Vans, they sit in the top side, looking to break that Tier 1 outer.
I think this is going to be a difficult break for them. Bombers actually do really well in the team fight. All they need is that Scion ulti to connect on a priority target.
Yep.
Cogmore, Graves, Orianna, all 3 good targets to hit. So they had the right idea around that dragon. Initiate the fight, get a key target down, and then take the dragon. It was simply Crimson reacting really well, getting out of the way, and then chewing through the Scion before it could get away, that caused them to lose that fight. So if they do just sort of group back up into this 5v5 death ball, maybe not even a 5v5 because you have Ornn in the side lane, it might get difficult for them, even though that's not where Zoe's strength lies.
Considering that Segoy has his ultimate available for Bombers, that is the highlight. As soon as that ultimate's up, that's the engage tool. Bombers have been using it well, but to give them a little bit more credit, I think Bombers, one of the better rotating OCS teams we've seen so far. As we saw last week, there was struggles with keeping up with the macro of these teams, but maybe not. Bombers come in, reaction from Sleepy was quick.
Very, very quick. And I think I would agree with you. They've been quite good on these rotations. You have to credit a bit of that to their champion picks. Zoe pretty good at rotating early, but it's something they have to know.
Well, that's a 2-man shockwave there, T-Gun. Treasy caught out. The Ornn knocks him up, and that is a dead Zoe along with a dead Sprint Starmer. When Crimson Gaming want to fight, they say, let's fight.
As we're singing the praises of Bombers and their good rotations, Crimson come in and do exactly what we were talking about, converging on someone. And now they break that top outer that we were talking about, perhaps even the top inner, depending on how big their wave is. And you're going to see Cogmore with this global gold gaining right here, move even faster towards that second item, even faster to becoming a really, really difficult target to deal with. Big question we're going to see itemization-wise is, does he, and if he does, when does he pick up a Quicksilver Sash? Because you need that to deal with Zoe. You can QSS out of it. You just have to QSS the right part of it. You can't QSS the drowsy. You have to QSS the sleep part of it. But does he just either believe in himself or the Braum enough that he'll never get hit and go to damage items and scale faster instead of sort of stalling himself out by getting the item?
We'll have to find out. For Raining, 20 CS up onto Spren Starmer, and it was a difficult laning phase for him, but the impacts on the bottom side made a huge difference. You have to say that Scam Diggity was a massive influence on Raining and Vans this game, and as he should be. Looks like we'll have a closer to second item for Raining, and now level 10 on the Cogmore has the Ginsus. He's going to be outputting a bit of damage, but that second item, that's the highest part.
Yeah, he was spot on there, and it was surprising having Scam Diggity impact the bot lane when we thought it was going to be a split map and him being in topside. It just so happened that the game sort of slowed down and he ended up in bot lane at the right times due to his skill, not just pure luck, mind you. Got the flash out, regained, got the kill, and has transitioned into what we're seeing here, which is a little bit of a slower game, but it benefits Crimson.
Oh, Crimson definitely happy with the pace. Baron going to spawn now, and Sleepy and Treasy trying to force something, trying to make something happen as Willaris walks back. Raining and Vans hanging around as well as that Baron's live. Remember, the next Dragon's coming up in a minute 10, and Willaris with the wave flare uses the shockwave. He's going to go drowsy, has to cleanse. And if Scam Diggity blocks, he will take a huge bit of damage.
Very, very good timing on that cleanse, able to get out of everything. And that's a bit distressing for Bombers. They hit their abilities. They got the Trouble Bubble on the target, apparently putting out a hell of a lot more damage. But when you get your abilities off and it doesn't really do much, you start to worry.
Not much sustain on the side of Crimson Gaming, and now Drowsy, Unbreakable, go down Vans, taking a bit himself. These paddle stars are starting to amp up.
I want to credit Vans with good timing on his shield there. He blocked out the big damage that was going to come out from the Q of Zoe. So the first big hit didn't actually do anything. So even though he did get caught and did get poked down, it was nowhere near as bad as it could have been.
You can see that Crimson even happy to rotate Sirius to the mid lane. They do not want this outer to break down. They want to delay this game even further. Dragon's going to come up in 15 seconds, and Treasy just wants to make something happen. But now for Scam Diggity, can he do the same? He will not take the Scuttle Crab, and Baron's sitting up there waiting. Crimson Gaming, 5,000 gold still ahead. They're just hanging around the mid lane.
I don't think their aim is for Baron anytime soon unless they win a big 15 fight. What we'll likely see is them move towards Dragon, try and secure that quickly, and potentially even move to bot lane and try and take down one of the remaining inners. Baron, as an objective, is pretty difficult to take when everyone's up.
Especially now at 8.9.
Absolutely, but I would say even more difficult against a team that has surefire ways of engaging like a Cyanol. So I don't want to see them do it. They still could, mind you. We saw QUT do that sort of thing where they just positioned a Baron the whole time.
T-Gun, 6 times.
But I don't see it happening from Crimson.
Well,
I think their main goal is going to be a slow, gradual control of the whole map before they go towards
for a
it.
team like Bombers, 6,000 gold behind, maybe Baron is the last resort. Maybe we see something that is just so preposterous that it might work. At 22 minutes in the game, they have one Infernal, but this gold lead is getting out of hand.
And we're also getting to that point where the ADCs have 2 items, so now you're going to see a lot more strength out of Cogmore, comparatively to Caitlyn.
Woo! Love tank battles. Let's do it again. Throw down the pillar. Charge forward. Segoy's actually not winning this one. Willaris takes an ace in the hole, and the Bombers still trying to break this mid lane outer. They just can't get through. Sleepy's coming in as well. It's a 4-man unit. But you can see Crimson are trying to rotate as well. Caught by Drowsy. Goodbye. Is it nap time? I think it is.
That's what they needed to do, was just keep poking with Zoe and with Caitlyn and try and take down a priority target. And Orianna, one of the highest priorities, and she was what was really keeping this tower alive. Sieging through an Orianna is ridiculously difficult. It's almost like a Nivea as we see the tank fight continue. And actually,
I don't think this is tank fight anymore. Segoy flashes away, and things got a little bit serious there for a second. But finally, Bombers break the mid lane outer. This will progress them forward.
Now, while they just broke the mid lane outer, they lost a big thing in Segoy's flash. And that's what Sirius was trying to do that whole time. He was trying to either get the flash or get the ulti out, so it's even harder for Bombers to make things happen in the 4v4s and the 5v5s, because obviously on ultimate, without a Sion ultimate, that's going to be a surefire way to engage and win at 5v5. Now, with that mid-outer gone, for Bombers, the map opens up a bit more and they can start looking for more picks with Zoe that we've been seeing on Orianna, perhaps on the Cogmore, around the jungle if they can start taking back vision control, which we've already seen them starting with the pinks they've set up around Baron.
With Sleepy Trouble Bubble as well, now it is pretty much a surefire way of getting a kill. For Treasy, he's not that far behind from Willaris, and although the Orianna has had a bit of an impact for Crimson Gaming, for Bombers, it feels like on the back of Treasy, they can make these picks work. They can potentially set themselves up for a Baron, or maybe go for an inner or another outer to break themselves away.
I think Treasy is going to be their big player to look at here. We see in the goal difference, Sprenstarm is actually ahead of the Cogmore, but at the same time, at this point of the game, I would place more damage coming out of that Cogmore than the Caitlyn, even though the Caitlyn has the Lulu with the Ardent Sensor.
Yep.
I would just expect the Cogmore to just be absolutely shredding through people, especially once that Quinzeus gets up the stacks. Now, what I want to see from Treasy, since he is the player that's going to make things happen, is I don't want him to see him group in this big clump of people. He should be a little bit off to the side or a little bit sort of obtuse compared to where his team is as he's caught someone here.
Well, it's going to be Vans with the Unbreakable. Blocking the damage is easy, but sustaining another Paddle Star, that is hard. Vans is tanky, but not tanky enough. There's not much magic resist on the side of Crimson Gaming, and this is what's affecting them.
Wow, he hits Scam Diggity off
like
to the side as well. Now, the problem for Vans is a lot of his tankiness comes with his shield.
Oh, they've found Sprenstarmer. They've predicted the flash, and Sprenstarmer's caught out. He'll be the first one. Crimson Gaming want to continue challenging this fight. On the back is Series, and we'll find Sleepy, not the charge. The flash immediately, respecting the damage out of Crimson Gaming.
Now, this is a key moment of the game. Do they try the Baron, or what do they go for here off the back of that kill? That was a great kill from them. Great predict on the flash from Caitlyn by Series. But what do they get out of it? Now, I would have thought if they went Baron there, it would be a bit difficult for them. Sion still has his teleport up, and it's not like the enemy team has been really destroyed there. Now, I think they're just going to opt to take vision control, reset, and get back together as a team early.
Oh, that's annoying. Series has been blocked out, and we'll have to back somewhere else. It was like Baron not even on the list for Crimson Gaming, so you have to say smart move at 25 minutes in the game. Not willing to force anything. But at the start of this game, we were talking about the bottom lane focus there, T-Gun, and for Raining, I think it hasn't kind of been sat on him yet. I feel like the longer we go, the more we'll come back to our original heroes in Raining and Vans.
And I think you're spot on there. The longer it goes, the more strength Cogmore is going to have. And that being said, he's already very strong. If this was to be a 5v5 team fight where Bombers don't engage on him as they engage on Orianna...
Well, he flashes away. The Shockwave brings them back in. Segoy still chasing up. Willaris is not taking too much damage from the Scion. And there was a lot burned. Now the Ornhorn to disengage. And this is not a good place for Bombers to be. They're in the wrong spot. Raining on the side. The Cogmore is barking up the wrong tree. Or maybe the right one. Crimson picked two. They picked the third. And this is not good for Bombers.
That was a great counter-engage from Crimson. Ornhorn knocks up 3 people. Even though Bombers were doing the right thing, looking for that priority target in Orianna, getting the Scion in there nice and deep. When the Cogmore is able to just run into the backline and start hitting people like Caitlyn, there's something is very, very wrong with your positioning, and Crimson now looking to take the Baron.
Oh, and Sleepy's just been taken out on the backside. I'm not sure how Willaris did that one, but 4 members down. This Baron is as good as gone. They don't even need Raining. A big start by Crimson. It looks like at 27 minutes in the game. They'll pick up the Baron and climb ever so further ahead.
I think they're going to hold Baron until Cogmore spawns. That's what it looks like they're doing.
Oh, they are. Nice guy. You never get this in solo queue, T-Gun.
No way.
Never get this in solo queue, but they will leave it, and all 5 members have Baron.
And that's the key point, is all 5 have Baron. It was very smart to hold it. They knew there was no way to steal. Sleepy was dead. All 5 get Baron now. It's about where they come out on the map. Do they fight for this dragon here, or do they just go to try and set up a big wave and push for an inhib tower? Not quite sure what they're going to aim for. With Sirius heading top, it seems like they are going to concede this dragon if Bombers do so choose to attempt it. And that feels like a little bit of a mistake. Yes, they do need to deal with that wave up there, but I'm not sure they needed to concede anything to go do it.
For Crimson now, so far ahead, 10,000 gold for a composition that wanted to be in this position maybe 10 minutes later. But they've got here nice and early, now with 3 items on every single carry. Let's see what else they can do. That's a Mountain Drake. Do they prioritize? Do they start walking up mid T-Gun? Or do we start using the Baron buff to its true effectivity?
I think before they try and go up mid or go up a certain wave and try and use Baron to take down a tower, they have to take this dragon. Not only is it an important dragon, but if you take this before 29 minutes, you're delaying the Elder Drake which could be a way for Bombers to get back into the game.
Well, Raining keeps walking in the sleepy trouble bubble. Remember, he does not have the Quicksilver Sash just yet, but saved by Vans, saved by the Bell. Another Mountain Drake goes over, and, well, sorry, the first one, Crimson Gaming, taking a select few.
And it looks like another Mountain Drake is spawning after that one. So if the game does stall out, they get even more help breaking the base of Bombers, which I don't think they're going to need because Bombers haven't really picked champions that can wave clear well, especially against a Baroned up team, and a team that's likely going to be able to banner up a cannon minion, which will help truck through things.
Well, the first one goes down. Now in comes the Ornhorn. Actually just takes out Treasy with the help of Cockmore on the backside. Raining is cleaning up here, ladies and gentlemen. An instant double kill. They want more. Segoy the next target, and Series going to be charged up, but it doesn't matter. And on the backside, Segoy ends his life as well, and Willaris takes that. Crimson Gaming are just walking through this game.
Brilliant engage yet again by Series with the Ornhorn. We see Sprenstarmer also just getting hassled by Willaris, but I think this is a game I'm not sure they can hold with just Kayla Lulu alive.
With the Baron buff, with all 5 members strong and available, Crimson Gaming did not disappoint. The Bombers Academy will have to walk back to the fountain. The big Cogmore, the 4-item Cogmore, will help end the game for Crimson.
What a game from Crimson. Slow to start, but when they realized they had an advantage, they were punishing every mistake they saw from Bombers. We saw Bombers trying to get back in the game in mid lane, Crimson saying not a chance in hell that's going to work, with the Ornhorn knocking up 3 at that point. I want to give, if there was an MVP award, to Series for his ability to either engage or counter-engage just phenomenally all game.
I'll take another step on that as well. Keeping on the top side, I'll give one to Scam Diggity for that early game. And the pressure was there. It was a strange jungle pathing, but then it kind of evened out. I think Scam had a big part to play in that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it was his choice to go invade at level 1. Generally, jungler's pathing is decided by no one but themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any jungler either in the OCS or the OPL that would sit there and concede much just for the sake of his team. Maybe Seb, I'll give a shout out to him. He's generally a team player. Okay, but we saw Scam Diggity go in, get that advantage level 1, helps out Series in the lane, and then go down to bot lane and also compound an advantage there.
Yeah, I was coming into this game with expectations that Crimson Gaming would probably be the stronger team, but I think Bombers Academy put up a good fight. The rotations were quite reactive, and it's something you don't expect when you're saying, hey, look at this roster. There's a couple of names we don't know, and I think they performed better than I would have expected. Yeah,
I mean, we saw Segoy punishing Series really early on. Sleepy, no, it was Segoy.
Sleepy.
Struggling with the names. But we did see him punish Series early on and go between the towers before the tier 1 was down, which is not something you expect from a rookie. And while they did well, I would still say Treasy was their best player on the Zoe. He was landing trouble bubbles on really, really difficult targets to hit, constantly out with the paddle stars. Just wasn't enough for them today.
Unfortunately, not the pick opposition, or at least some part of it didn't come together, but a win nonetheless, and a big one at that. We are going to go to a short 5-minute break, and when we return, more OCS action with your boys right here. And you're back again with OCS week number 2. My name's Jake Hysteric Sazipenko, joined by Bradley T-Gun Seymour. I always use this hand to point. Maybe we should start using this one. It looks better. However, Emprox taking on Legacy Genesis is the game we're about to have a look and see at. From T-Gun, my friend, this is one I wanted to see because we got a Legacy Genesis All-Star roster.
All-Stars after their performance week 1?
I'd call you an All-Star. Is that good?
You'd be stretching the definition.
Well, maybe not. In support, you're definitely an All-Star. Let's have a look at those rosters anyway. I said All-Star T-Gun, but let's look at Emprox first. I think the person we'll definitely have a look at is probably Wei and Chaz in the mid lane. They're the two that stand out for me.
I would have to agree with you there. Chaz had a huge game last week, and he'll probably want to continue that momentum this week. Now, around them, you have Dao Dao at top lane, Farmer and Corporal completing the bot duo, and I want to see their top lane roam towards mid and sort of compound that, or perhaps if he's on something like LeBlanc again, he'll go to top lane and try and punish Minky Whale, or maybe in bot lane.
I just saw Dodo tweet as well. He wants to make sure he impresses us so he gets on the list for top 5 next week. But on the side of Legacy Genesis, Minky Whale up in that top side. He's the all-classic Carbon in the jungle, and of course, William Dobie crazy as AD carry.
Well, we have all these notable names on Legacy, but who I want to focus on is Hollow. Now, he's the one most people won't know, and he had, in my eyes, the best performance from them last week. I don't think, has any competitive experience. Everyone else on that roster obviously does, and he's the one performing the best out of all of them. That's something weird to me. You wouldn't expect that, and if he continues that this week, that's a person that OPL teams might start to look at.
Especially since last week, they went up against Tectonic Academy, and that's not one of our top 4 teams, I dare say. For Legacy Genesis, they didn't start week 1 well. This is their chance to make things up, but you're going up against arguably a stronger roster in Emprox.
Stronger roster, I wouldn't put it that far. I'd say they're about the same skill.
Okay.
You called Legacy All-Stars, now you're going to say they're weaker.
Emprox stronger than Tectonic Academy, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought you were saying they were stronger than Legacy. I was getting a bit confused.
I don't know, man. I want to make sure everyone has equal chance. But Emprox still got some big names in there. Chaz last week went on the LeBlanc, and he played a good LeBlanc game. Not a bad LeBlanc you see in any other time. A good LeBlanc game.
I think good is underselling it. He ended up 12-2. That's a great game. That's the LeBlanc that carries your team to victory, and he's going to look to do that again. I don't think he's going to get LeBlanc again, though. I don't see that happening. That would be, in my eyes, a mistake from Legacy to sort of let it through and let him have that again. Obviously, it's a comfortable pick, and he's proven that he's good on it now. So look for that to be banned out, but still look for him to be effective. Maybe we see Zoe again like we saw in the previous game.
Maybe we do. We see some dangerous picks that come out of the mid lane, so I think that's where we will put our focus this game. It seems like it's going to be on Chaz when you have someone like Hollow, a newbie, but he held his ground last week. He did quite well, all things considering.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit weird when you have a all-star roster in Legacy that the newest player, the least experienced player, is the one that we're focusing on because he did the best. And it's just, when that happens, when it's a player that I hadn't really heard much about coming into this, that's pretty impressive. So even though we're focusing on Chaz and saying he's really, really good and he's going to be the one to watch, how Hollow reacts to it, and not just Chaz, but Chaz and how Y interacts with the lane, and how he sort of tells Carbon what he needs and builds in the mid lane and potentially has to follow roams, is going to be the most important factor in this game.
Another important factor is, again, how those junglers interact. As you just said, it's going to be Carbon taking on Wei, and that is Wei from the OPL. That is old Regicide Wei. He is an absolute god in the jungle, but so is Carbon. So let's don't know again. They're both gods. All right? They're both great people.
I think you're just a big fan because you know both of them.
I think big fan of everyone, to be honest. I'm just happy to be here again. Let's jump into game number 2 because we've got some pretty standard bans, but we want to see that LeBlanc taken away.
I really do. Standard bans, Ornn, Morgana, Trundle, they're all just really strong right now. We saw 2 of the 3 in the last game, and the 3rd was banned, so no real surprise. Legacy thinking for a while here has to be them thinking about banning Zoe instead of LeBlanc. I really hope that 3rd ban is LeBlanc.
I think they saw the first game. I think they saw the first game and were like, nah, let's get rid of the Zoe just in case. But if they leave this LeBlanc open, Emprox can build around it. Caitlyn will be the 3rd ban for Emprox.
Crazy played a lot of it. It's also one of the champions where you pretty much get lane dominance by virtue of the champion. So not a surprise there, protecting their bot lane and also making sure the lane is a bit more interactive than just one lane is going to push into the other one, which has to play reactive. Rakan, 3rd ban for Legacy. Not a fan. Not a fan. If Legacy don't end up picking up LeBlanc, if Emprox let them get it after the first pick, I have to think they either have some really crazy counter pick plan, or they just don't respect Chaz's LeBlanc.
Maybe Hollow feels confident going up against it. It's going to be the first pick Graves, and for Way, another aggressive jungler like Scam Diggity. This can only benefit the Emprox roster.
Yeah, it benefits aggressive junglers, and it's also just a great jungler right now.
It really is.
It's able to duel early on, it's able to clear very fast, and still able to impact lanes. Pretty much the total package. I would expect Legacy... Ivan, that's a pick the Carbon used to play.
That's a Carbon pick. That is a Carbon pick. Good on you, Tim. You're not out of it just yet. It's 2018, and I tell you what, it's your meta.
That's the old man pick right there.
Oh, you can see his age.
Ivan and Nunu, those are the two champions that you can play no matter how old you are.
Even though you would skip right past it. You know, you like Kha'Zix, you like Trundle's band. What else can we do? Sejuani, Jarvan? No. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Wendell.
Love it.
Great to have him back. It's going to be the, of course, the Ivan jumping through, so keep an eye on Carbon throughout the game. Braum picked again, and this is good for Corporal.
And Braum in relation to Varus. Varus with his Q poke, very difficult to deal with. Braum easily shuts that down. Varus, the pick from Legacy, I do like that with Caitlyn banned out. It's, I would say, top 2 in terms of complete lane control and aggressiveness, and I assume that means Legacy do want to be aggressive in bot lane.
Welcome back. Again, it's like pick after pick. We're welcoming people home for Chaz. He's going to play the block second week in a row. 12-2. Will it happen again?
I really hope they have something planned to deal with this LeBlanc. I'm really worried that they've just let it go through and expect Hollow to be able to deal with it no matter what he picks, and I'm not sure that's going to be the case because Shaz is good on this champion. He was good on it before, he's still good on it now. He proved that last week, and he's proved that in seasons and solo queue before, so let him get it. There's questions to be said.
So what do you have in mind? What are we going to take down Chaz with if you're Legacy Genesis? Because last week, it seemed a bit disorganized from Legacy. Now they've got week 2 to kind of make that up, and they can't let this go unpunished.
I'm not sure what they can pick into it and just be comfortable. Again, it's a little bit of, I don't know much about Hollow.
Cassiopeia is still open, I guess.
Cass is good, but it's just so strange to me. Maybe he picks something that can roam with it. Maybe he picks Talia or Twisted Fate and just tries to follow it when it's roaming. Maybe that Shogath is mid. We don't know yet.
Well, I mean, it is again 2018. It is patch 8.9, so who knows? 80 carry ban seem to be focused towards Farmer here with Kog'Maw and Ezreal being taken out by T-Gun. I see a Karma ban, and I also see maybe taking away another mid laner to force Hollow out.
I would say the Karma ban, while it does double as a mid lane ban, also helps out the support pool. They're trying to limit the ability for Legacy to get this duo bot that just pushes in incessantly and just pokes them down. Whereas Legacy banned out ADCs to make it harder for Emprox to come back at them with a strong bot lane.
But for Emprox, so far, so good. They banned away the Alistar to finish things off. And now, what do Legacy opt in for?
Thresh would be a good pick, and they take it straight away. That was very quick. That was confidence.
Bushy boo boo.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure about the Alistar ban over Thresh. Alistar, when you're a Braum, isn't exactly the biggest deal, because you sit away from your ADC, the second the Alistar goes in, you jump across, put the shield up, and Alistar's useless. So it's a little bit strange to me, but maybe they scouted Bushy, saw that he's very good on the champion, or maybe they were worried about Alistar impacting the greater bit of the map, or potentially, if they're picking this big 5v5 comp, they were worried about Alistar just being a nuisance in teamfights. From
what little I've seen of Bushy Boo Boo, I know he's picked this up before, and now he's going to have to prove it going up against such a, I guess, dangerous roster from Emprox. A first week win, and they pick up the Gnar. Now the last pick in the 80 carry pool. It's been shrunken quite a lot here in the band phase.
Sivir? Yeah, it's Sivir.
Oh, 500 CS. Here we go.
I was expecting it. That's one of the strongest champions that's left. It's also able to, especially once you get to maybe even a BF sword, you're able to keep the wave off the tower. You just throw out both your abilities and clear it as fast as possible. And that's what they're going to aim to do. Just keep the bot lane as neutral as possible. Maybe if their jungler does decide to roam down there, they can make something happen. But I'm not really expecting much to happen down there.
But they pick up the Orianna. Hollow runs an Orianna into Chaz. And although, yes, it is going to be great for the team considering how Legacy Genesis look, I think Chaz is going to be a real threat in this lane.
I have to agree. I think Orianna isn't anything that was out of left field. It wasn't like they've just picked up this crazy counter pick and said, go ahead, pick LeBlanc.
Yasuo's open.
Yeah, it is. I wasn't expecting that either.
To be fair, Yasuo, I feel like, would have been a bit of a threat, but they're stuck with the Orianna, and now we have to look at the consequences. For Legacy Genesis, with such a rough first week, I feel like, you know, we're trying to build for an extended laning phase here.
Extended laning phase would help, but I don't see it. I think what will likely happen for Legacy is they'll take the Thresh out of the lane early on. He'll get Mobies and he'll start trying to roam either mid or top and impact the other lanes. What I want to see is how Ivan passes in this game. He's such a unique champion in how he impacts the map and how he's played. And Carbon is probably one of the better players in OS on the champion. So that's going to be the big question for Legacy, is how they utilize him in the early game and how they build into that mid game dealing with LeBlanc.
But for Carbon, it has been a grand return of all sorts. He's stepped away for a little while, but now jumping into the OCS in the hopes of bringing Legacy Genesis all the way up. And with a shaky first start, now the interaction is going to be, how will Ivan feel going up against Wei on the Graves? Ivan gets very low early in those clears.
And I think Graves, especially if he invades Ivan, is going to absolutely demolish him. I don't see a way Ivan ever wins the 1v1. I don't think there's any 2v2 or 3v3 they can win. So that'll be very, very difficult if he does decide to invade and start punishing the Ivan pick.
But we do jump in for our second game of OCS week number 2. It's Emprox already with a win, taking on Legacy Genesis, who struggled in the first week and now will be trying to even things out.
One thing we haven't touched on yet is how the top lane's going to work. The last time we saw Cho'Gath, it was Biopanther, and he did really well on it.
Oh,
so
really well.
Minky Whale could be looking to emulate one of the youngsters, pick up the Cho'Gath, which is generally regarded as a safe tank, and start bullying around the Gnar.
Remember with Biopanther, it was much more than that. It was getting the winning lane, but then he impacted the rest of the map. Wei, Carbon, going to take some risky shots, get slowed down, end of the line. It has not been taken. He's taking the quick draw instead. Wei trying to force out Carbon early. Getting close to doing it. Now Minky Whale with a converge. And uh-oh, this is not good. Wei over the side.
I think that sets the tone for the game.
It definitely does.
He's just going to be aggressive. He's running in there level 1 far enough that he could have warded the Wraiths. That's an aggressive man right there. And I expect to see that more than once in this game in the first 10 minutes.
See, ward was dropped on red, so going to follow Carbon around a little bit. The fact that Wei hasn't started end of the line, maybe it slows down his clear, but not too much when you consider that Carbon will go to Raptors immediately, probably smite one of them away. Get an early level 2, a burst of levels, remember, for Ivan.
Now, does he, after he clears, just take the crab and sit bot lane for a little bit? Or does he recall, go top lane, and start trying to impact that lane? It's really, really interesting in his decisions early on where to go, how quickly to get there, and what lanes he's going to prioritize. Because while he can prep all the camps that he wants, he obviously can't take them all. It's all about where he's going to try and harass first and what bushes he's just going to sort of monopolize his time in. Because Graves doesn't have that ability. Graves is going to rock up in places, break the door down, yell to everyone that he's there.
Now for Wei, he's actually coming into the mid lane, will be spotted out by a ward, so changes his trajectory, goes to the Scuttle Crab and will try and hit an early level 3. Wei has kept track of where Carbon has gone because that ward under red buff. Carbon now level 3, regaining some of his health. Wei level 2, he's going to come back in the mid lane.
I think this is the right idea. Get Chaz moving. You know he's good on LeBlanc. They got LeBlanc for some reason, and that's what they're going to do.
Well, Hollow against the wall, not good. The Ignite, the heal, will it matter? No, it will not with First Blood going away.
This is exactly what we're expecting. Chaz to start popping off early. The kill did go over to Y, but let's ignore that. LeBlanc already ahead. 2 summoners down for Orianna. LeBlanc's going to be up a wave, up the pressure war, and Hollow has to now have in the back of his mind, are they going to come mid again? Are they going to try and kill me again? And how does he just farm safely without getting monstrously behind?
Do you expect the comparison is, oh, it's so easy to gank an Orianna, but is it easy to gank Chaz on LeBlanc? You know, distort away. Carbon cannot land the route.
Yeah, it'll be almost impossible for him to land that route.
Yep.
I think what they'll likely do is say to Hollow, all right, you're going to have a tough time this game. It's going to suck. Do your best to not die while we try and scale through bot lane or top lane, and then we'll bail you out in the mid game to late game.
Feels like it probably will be that bottom lane with Crazy and Bushy Boo Boo. I think we're gonna do one boo there. I think we'll do Bushy Boo just because it comes off the tongue a little bit easier.
Just go with Bushy.
Carbon, thank you very much. Look, Carbon will come around, do a bit of invading himself, and now look to maybe do something in the bottom lane. I don't think that's going to be the case as he backs away. A bit more information for the jungler of Legacy Genesis. And this Ivan pick is going to be as impactful as we think. Away, back in the mid lane. Not again, says Hollow. Well, he took too many turret shots. He walks away, but
even without getting the kill there, that's already big enough. He's now down below half health. He's going to have to use all of his mana just to sort of keep the wave at bay. Things aren't looking good for Hollow. I just want to touch on what we saw bot lane, though. The reason Carbon just based and got out of there very quickly is because of where the wave is. They're pushing it aggressively, but it's stopping in this awkward place where it's really difficult to gank, but also they're not really getting a lot done besides keeping pressure on them. They're not going to get anything tangible. The CS lead isn't going to happen. In fact, it looks like Sivir is pretty much keeping even might be ahead by 1 right now. And I have to say, what they should be trying to do is either completely push it and reset it, or looking for diets. It seems like they're just sort of caught between the best of two worlds here.
For Legacy Genesis, this was the same kind of decision-making that earlier on in the game led to costing them a victory. And a little bit early, but still, keep your focus down on this bottom lane, because this is where maybe the impact comes through from Carbon, because to focus mid lane is going to be super difficult. Chaz almost has Ignite, and he's like starting to win this lane in a big way. As soon as he goes back with that first buy, that's when the kill threat comes into Hollow even more.
I think the second he has Ignite, he's going to call in Wei, and they're going to dive it. They know the timers. They're good enough that they will be able to time it down to the second when Orianna's summon is going to be up. And even if she has heal, it does not matter. They will dive and they will kill the Orianna. And I'm not sure there's even much Legacy can do. If Ivan's there, does it stall it out? Probably, but then he has to spend so much time, which he already is doing right now, as you see, in mid lane.
Well, lucky the root call is going to land, but Wave flashes forward. Command protect indeed, as Carbon all the way back to his turret is going to go home.
I love that. I love that he flash smited and was just aggressive. Now you're going to see the benefit. Look at this huge wave that Hollow isn't able to contest. And he's done the right thing, mind you. He's walked away. He's let them just take it. But if he comes forward, which he is...
Oh, Hollow. The Ignite's there. Goodbye! Yes, it is. Chaz will find a second one. This time it goes to him.
And that was what they were doing. They were converging on mid lane and punishing him, keeping him off the wave because Ivan was sent back. He wanders forward just a little bit too far and gets killed because of it.
Well, Mickey Well comes to match Dodo, and he's going to go into Mega Gnar soon. But look at the turret's health. Half already gone at the 6-minute mark. And this is a rendition of an old Regicide member. And I said Regicide Remastered last week when we were talking about Mammoth Academy. But Wei was a big part. Wei was a very big part, and this is some of the playstyle that we've come to expect.
So we can have Regicide Remastered and then Neo Regicide then as well.
Yes! Perfect.
We'll have the new Regicide and the old Regicide.
Regicide 0.5. It's still good. It's just a little bit less.
I'm trying to think of ways Legacy can dig Hollow out of this grave in mid lane. Because they need to do something, or else he's just going to keep getting picked on. It's just going to be Chaz punishing him 1v1. Wei is going to compound the problem. We saw Dodo walking down and also joining in on it. And even with blue buff, I don't know how he defends it and sort of keeps the wave off the tower, keeps the tower from dying, or keeps himself from being dozed yet again.
He's about 10 CS behind, and it's not really helping. Considering look at this top lane as well, I mean, now Wei has the ability to come up here. Minky Well, the feast is available, but at half health, Wei is just bursting people down. 1-0-1. And is always almost closer to that warrior enchantment. For Carbon, isn't making the same impact, can't make the same impact when you look at the jungle styles from both of them.
I don't think he can keep up with Wei at this point. I think his best bet is prep his buffs for his side laners to also get the benefit and try and limit the damage, stem the bleeding, cauterize the wound, and stop Hollow from sort of dying again and again and losing that mid tower. He's never going to wrest control of the jungle. We see down around the Wraith side and the mid side, Emprox already have wards as a fight starts in the bot lane.
Well, down in the bottom lane, Crazy has the ultimate and has already used it. Level 6, Corporal ticking down, but the Ignite will not take him. And Emprox's bottom lane may be a point where Legacy Genesis can take full advantage.
I think that has to be the point they think about. But as we say that, it looks like Emprox bringing down Y are going to look to take advantage of Legacy Genesis if they're able to.
There is no ult from Bushy Boo Boo or Crazy. Way walks forward. Now going to be stunned up, and the Ignite not even needed. Brings them back in. Corporal almost dies and does. Crazy doesn't take the last hit either. Chaz comes in. Can he find one? He finds nothing. And Emprox miss out.
That was nothing but great play from Legacy Genesis there, especially their duo lane. They peeled back, played the 2v3 exquisitely, got the kill, and then as Chaz appears, so does Carbon, able to shield and sort of cause some disarray, force him to distort back very, very quickly, even though he had the chains on Bushy. And I think that's what we're going to see more of, is Legacy trying to play through this bot lane right now, trying to get that tower early, swap them out of that lane, and stem the bleeding from Orianna, because the longer the laning phase goes, the harder I think it will get in this mid lane for Hollow.
Well, Chaz already walked down once, and now back into the lane. You can see the CS is extending, still at that 10 mark, but bottom lane's where I want to look at for Legacy Genesis. 1-0 on to Crazy. He is ahead in CS. That next back should mount the Rage Blade, but this is curious because I think we've walked out of Rage Blade builds for Varus. We've walked back into the Essence Reaver, but still Crazy going to stick with the casual.
I think going Rage Blade is perfectly fine, especially if you think you can keep it up during team fights, which he very likely will be able to. There's nothing really threatening him and keeping him out of it, so in terms of itemization, it's fine. We see him go for Berserker Grease, so obviously he didn't have the money for it yet. But what it will allow him to do is spike earlier than the other builds do. So perhaps that's their goal, is to end this game before it gets to the 35-40 minute mark. Maybe they want to try and take a victory around the 25-30 minute.
Well, they're going to start pressing the go button, even though gold is equal. Wait, still coming into this side of the jungle, and the ward pressure continues on. You can see that Carbon's matched a little bit, I think, with the help of Minky Whale on that top side. Scuttle Crab taken, and now with the blue side jungle warded against Wei, there's an opportunity for Legacy Genesis to get more information and maybe react to Wei that little bit quicker.
Wei just in the middle of the wave this time. That's obnoxious. Just having the jungler sit in your lane. They probably get the tower here. I'm not sure if Legacy can really hold it off much longer, and even if they do, what does it accomplish at this point? Because they're conceding objectives elsewhere to keep that alive when it's already down to, I believe, about 10% health.
Yeah, it's getting pretty dangerous in that mid lane, and only a tier to speak of from Hollow. He'll start stacking up, but Chaz, that next back, you have to assume will be the Luden's Echo, will be maybe the Archangel Staff. We'll see how LeBlanc builds in this one. For Minky Whale, I think Dodo has to be careful because I think he's getting pretty close to feast range as soon as he comes out of Mega.
Yeah, and not even just feast range. Minky will likely sustain better than the Gnar does. It's just a tough ask for him to really win. He has to take that big bursty fight instead of taking that long sustain battle that it seems like he's opted into.
That turret is just standing by his bare legs. Wei continuing to try to be annoying, but that's the beauty of Ivan. He'll take the 102 gold and deny it from Wei.
So this mid turret right now is a bit of a bait. That's backdoorable. You can just walk in there whenever you want. You don't need to bring a wave in. So we see Emprox shift their focus to topside right now with Y coming in to try and get on top of Minky Whale.
Because Carbon's still mid. Minky Whale flashes away. Wei's here. End of the line, he says, with the collateral damage to take him down.
That was great from Wei. He knows the mid tower is going to fall naturally on its own, so what do? You don't waste any more time in there. You go to the other lanes, you go to top, punish that, and now they will have a second tower that will fall shortly after the first one, compounding their already pretty big advantage.
So Carbon's left it for now. He's going for the invade instead, and maybe for Legacy Genesis they can claw this one back because there is about to be a 3,000 gold lead coming through. Emprox, they know Carbon's here. He has no mana. On the hunt. Carbon, I'm not sure you're where you want to be. Bushy Boo Boo saves the day. He'll still get stunned up. Farmer there with the Boomerang Blade. Chaz is coming in. Flash away. And instantly bringing Chaz has made a mistake as Bushy Boo Boo takes the kill. Maybe this is working out well for Legacy Genesis.
Crazy and Bushy are putting the team on the back at this point.
Oh, yeah.
They are saying, we are not losing this. We are not going down without a fight. And again, another great reaction from them, saving Carbon from a pretty risky invade, getting pretty much a max range Lantern, then collapsing on the LeBlanc, who was roaming and doing well, doing her job, getting down to these fights, and just destroying her before she has any option to get out of that fight.
Especially with Luden's Echo, you'd expect that Chaz would have had a huge impact with that fight. Now Wei, a little bit too deep for his liking. He's looking to flash over the wall, but he will not have time. Rooted up, over the side. Crazy will not take the kill, but Carbon almost died.
What a great kill again by them. Crazy couldn't click the lantern. It was right under blue buff. What he needed to do there was zoom his camera all the way in, but it's really hard to do that in the heat of the moment.
In the heat of the
Your
moment,
heart's
absolutely.
pumping, you're just trying to get the kill. But yet again, the bot lane roaming and getting things done. And they need to just keep doing that to win this game.
Well, big impact from Carbon now. This is a game that I didn't think I'd say that because for Carbon, it was getting a little bit too close for comfort, but the Ivan is starting to react to these situations. There's starting to be moments where Wei's slipping up, Chaz is slipping up. And for Legacy Genesis, now maintaining that gold lead, there is hope that they can continue forward. And with this Rageblade Virus, with almost the Banner of Command on Bushy Boo Boo, they can start impacting through the bottom lane for the rest of the map.
I would actually prefer if Bushy went to a Locket at this point. As much as banners are good and they're very good against tanks, it's looking like they're going to be going into a protect the Crazy comp. They're going to be going into let Varus do the work, we'll keep him alive and let him do everything. Yes, we'll get picks with Thresh Hook. Yes, we'll get picks with Ivan. But well, as we see, Minkwell getting caught again.
This is a sure kill. Dodo picks it up, but Chaz again. Moving, affecting the rest of the map.
And like I said, that's what Chaz's goal is going to be, to get around to the other side and start flanking people, start getting into these side lanes and helping out them. Now we see Nah 1-0-1. He's going to start being a real nuisance to deal with. But getting back onto Legacy's side, it seems like they are going to end up putting everything onto Crazy. It looks like Ivan's going to end up with that supported build, probably go Redemption, maybe even go Ardent Sensor at this point. I'm not sure if that's great, but if you're putting everything onto the ADC, why not?
Well, Carbon's rushed to the Athenes anyway, so that's going to be the first item for the Ivan. Now for Emprox, they move straight to the Rift Herald, and after picking up that turret, only 1,000 gold up. That's almost all the outers taken for Emprox to open up the map, and with this Rift Herald, surely you'd think that maybe they start moving to the bottom side.
You're absolutely right. Legacy have to know they're on the Rift Herald, so they move to the bottom, but Emprox know that Legacy are coming, so they just concede the tower. And I think that's exactly what they should be doing. Just concede the minor objective while you take a major in Rift Herald, and as long as they don't also lose Dragon off the back of this, I think they win that exchange by taking Rift Herald, which is going to amount in probably an inner turret, which are obviously much more valuable than the others.
But for Legacy, now the Genesis squad can actually progress the game forward. I heard a flash. Chaz getting Hollow out of that mid lane again.
Yeah, I thought for a second there that Chaz had flashed to try and secure the kill on Hollow, but it was just Hollow escaping yet again from Chaz being that nuisance and just constantly keeping the pressure on him. As we see Legacy taking this Dragon, what's the reaction from Emprox? It doesn't look like they have any ready.
You'd think that at the moment for Emprox, as Daisy stutters away and that Mountain Dragon is secured, you'd think that Emprox would be making the proactive move here, but they're not. Legacy Genesis picking up objectives left, right, and center. And now, a game you thought they were going to be out from is non-existent.
I think that's the veterans of Legacy starting to take effect. Carbon, known as the shot caller, he was kept on Legacy for a very long time because he was a great shot caller, starting to prove his worth here. And that's what's starting to hurt Emprox, is they don't have that very big experience there. Yes, Wei has played in the OPL, yes, Chaz has been around, but it's very, very hard to match Carbon in terms of just knowledge of the game at a base level.
It really is, considering how long, Carbon been around for ages. Happy to pick Ivan in week number 2 of the OCS. Remember, you have those one games where it's not series, it's not best of 3, where you go, all right, we can pick up the Ivan as a bit of a surprise, but we have to change up our tactics. It's best of 1. To pick up something like this for Legacy Genesis to run a comp like this, they can make it work. Emprox, they caught by surprise or merely on the back foot here. They're 1,000 gold ahead still, but that mid lane turret seems to be the progression for Legacy Genesis.
I feel like 1,000 gold would be a bit disappointing for them, considering how this game started.
Yeah.
It was so good for them in mid lane, and then they were able to get that to top lane as well, but they've just bled objectives to Legacy, who are making very, very smart decisions based off the information they have.
Carbon walks middle as well. Legacy Genesis still in this lane, but Chaz sitting on the side. They're hoping to get Hollow again, take him further down. He'll now appear in the lane, but look behind. Wei is there. He's going to push up. The wave will follow. Chaz trying to execute a dive.
I think Hollow's dead here.
Well, around the side, the teleport going to be matched. The smoke screen there as well. Chaz does not commit. They let the teleport come through, and Minky says, "What's up, guys? I'm in the lane."
Now, what I want to know is, how is that top lane situated right now? Because Minky was up there to stop it from pushing in and to eat the big wave, and it doesn't look like he's done that.
Dodo's actually walked mid instead. Now the bottom lane from Legacy Genesis. Crazy on the backside. Free hitting here. He'll be slowed down, but there is no aggression from Emprox whatsoever. Dodo might not even go to Mega now. They get one, but at what cost here? For Emprox, they are losing members fast. Crazy is picking them up. He gets a double kill, and he gets even further ahead.
And he's flashing forward. He knows he's able to play really aggressively here as we see the Orianna ulti onto Y, but I'm not sure this chase will amount to much. What they will get, though, is the mid tower on the next wave, and that is massive for Legacy in terms of taking back control of this game.
From this bottom side, Legacy Genesis have just come so far. Hollow being 0-2 down. I mean, he caught up to CS and Chaz, but he's still 20 CS behind now. But still for Legacy Genesis, they can execute these fights this early in the game. And if Emprox are caught out, this is what comes of it. They finally get bottom lane turret. The Rift Herald dropped. They shouldn't be able to get anything more than this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was really good for them. As we see Mickey flashing in, they are likely to go
about to get chopped down. And hungry Minky Well doesn't even need to feast. He'll just hit him to death.
They do finish the teleport off, though.
Dodo flashing forward. That's aggressive. Now he has to deal with Minky Whale. His feast will be up very, very shortly, T-Gun. Back in comes Carbon. There is a Mega Gnar, but Carbon misses the root caller, so Dodo will get out.
Just throws him away and walks away. Get off me, he says, as he gets out of there. But I'm still not sure I'm happy with that teleport completion, because you saw he tried to get Carbon. He did jump in, flash in, go for the kill. But even if he gets that kill, you're still losing the trade. You're still down. You've got the exchanging kills, but you're down in summoners. And teleport at this point in the game is a very, very important summoner. We see Minky's is now going to be off cooldown before him, and what we'll likely see as a result of that is Legacy group up on the top side as Minky pushes down the bottom side.
But I think now, as things stand, T-Gun, I think there is going to be a lot of focus in this top side. Look at the ward control from Emprox. That top side is lit up like a Christmas tree, covered in blue lights. And Emprox have made sure there's going to be no sneaky from Legacy Genesis, but down on the bottom side, they're going to focus Carbon. They're going to leave the mid lane mid, a.k.a. your bottom lane there, and Crazy and Bushy Boo Boo. And this 2v2 right now, Farmer and Corporal, they cannot win it.
They don't have to win it, though. You're absolutely right. They cannot win that 2v2, but winning it for them is actually just taking the wave. They're never going to try and take that fight because they know it's silly. Very smart from Hollow here to sit back. Chaz and Wei aren't on the map for Legacy, so they have to be somewhere, and they've shown they're always wherever Hollow is. So backing off, just letting him, he's losing a couple minions, but he's not losing his life. And at this point, that's what he needs to be doing, is just playing that safe, passive game.
And Chaz is in 2 items, and for Hollow right now, he's being very smart not to take this fight whatsoever. But 2-item LeBlanc, it's still going to be huge. Anyone else on the map if they get caught out, and I'm surprised Crazy and Bushy Boo Boo have not been the target. There hasn't been rotations from Chaz to help take on that 2v2 lane.
The problem with targeting them is Chaz will need a lot of help before it matters.
Ooh.
As we see Doodoo just miss that ulti, trying to engage on Minky yet again. This is not the tank battle you expect, is it?
No, sorry. I believe it is Dodo, but Minky Whale, the 2v1. Wei comes back in, and Minky, remember, still has the feast, will not get the rapture, so that means Dodo will find the kill.
Now, like I said, that's not the tank battle you expect. You sort of expect him to do nothing, but he's doing work, slowly chipping him down while Wei makes his way through the jungle to get the kill. And now we're back in this awkward, just wave clear battle. Now, back to what I was saying before, where you were talking about LeBlanc maybe going for Varus. She can't do that, because if she does show up, Varus ulti, Thresh Hook, Locket surviving through the burst, she will die. So she can't go there. She has to go towards Orianna or even potentially Cho'Gath later.
Right now, she has to go towards the Baron because Legacy Genesis, they start this one up, T-Gun.
We do see pings on it. Emprox know. The question is, do they get in the engage here, or how do they approach this?
You have a Rage Blade Virus. They take the fight instead. Corporal is going to be the first to drop, but maybe too ambitious. They'll stun up Bushy Boo Boo. Chaz goes in, gets the kill, but now the turnaround. Can Farmer do any damage? Legacy Genesis want to take this, and look at the damage from Crazy. Almost takes down the AD carry as well. Legacy Genesis pull off the Baron, and they'll be happy with the 1-for-1 trade.
Legacy were actually very unlucky for that to be a 1-for-1 trade. Bushy got stunned up inside the pit, essentially, and died to Baron off the back of that engage. So Emprox very lucky to come up with that kill. Looks like they're just going to go for it again.
It's QT Tigers. I think we're going again. Or maybe not. It's the blind pick, and they fell for the trap. Dudu does not have the ultimate and will go down.
It was all a bait. It was all a trap. The oldest trick in the book. Sit inside the pit, act like you're doing it, and the second someone comes to check as they need to, delete them.
Now, Wei misses away from the root caller. It's going to be a big ask for Emprox to steal this Baron Tegan. 5,000 health remaining.
What they need to be doing is getting Chaz on the side, onto Hollow like he just did.
In. Chaz will take one. Legacy Genesis have dropped Farmer. Misses away from the piercing arrow and now are looking for a kill. It's on to Corporal. He'll get knocked up, knocked back, locked down, and take it away.
That is the second time in what amounts to about 2 minutes that I've seen Farmer just slink away on 5% health. So very smart by him to sort of know his absolute limit and play to that. And Legacy, again, the QT thing, just back on Baron.
Third time's the charm. Wei waiting around the outskirts of this one. And Nicky Well almost has feast available, so if they can get it down to 3,000, it should be fine. Wei's caught out, and the jungler from Emprox will drop. Another kill goes to Crazy, and this time, it is a short.
I don't know if it's a short. I think
maybe not. T-Gun. Dudu picks up the first one. Second goes to Farmer, and this is not good as Crazy bitten off more than he can chew. He'll take the Gnar down, but this is just messy from both teams.
Emprox just stuck to it, said, if you're going to keep doing the Baron, we will keep fighting you. And eventually, Chaz finds the damage that he needs to get out. They do stop the Baron, take the extended trade, get the 2 for 3, and now this top lane should fall here if they're able to get Hollow out of the way.
Well, Hollow has the wave clear, so shouldn't be in trouble. Chaz not doing too much damage with Carbon in the way, and with that Seraph's Embrace, there is more survivability against Chaz. The Blancas had an impact, as you just saw then. But for Emprox, time is kind of running thin. When you have an Orianna, when you have a Varus who's 6-1 and 4, with 3 items at 25 minutes in the game.
And you also have Ivan sitting on 10 Magi stacks.
Woohoo!
I don't know if that was a Dark Seal that he's just upgraded, but that is obnoxious in terms of how much his shields now do. We do see that he got the Ardent Sensor before the Redemption as well, something to note. They have just went all in on the fact that Crazy is their big carry threat, and they've been showing that in the fights, just sort of protecting him, letting him do his thing. Now, what I want to mention is Emprox, when they won that fight, opted to go top to try and push that tower down with that huge wave, and they lost their bot tower. And they didn't get anything out of it because Carbon and the Hollow were able to hold them off. So again, the veteran calls from Legacy, knowing what they can and can't defend, seem to be slowly eking out that gold lead that Emprox have had all game.
I think it's just a testament to their improvement from week 1 to week 2. You've got OPL players in this roster. They've been on stage. They were at the OPL Grand Finals. Way back when, man. I feel old talking about it. But for Legacy Genesis now, they're waiting in the brush again. They're just looking for another pick.
I feel old talking about it. I want to see Minky play Shyvana again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's viable in my opinion. Corporal, 2 ultimates, or maybe only 1 there from Crazy. Legacy Genesis is really eager on finding a pick around the Baron pit.
Yeah, it looks like they don't want to commit to the Baron again. All they want to do is bait and look for picks, and that's going to hurt them if they can't find them, because you have the Gnar down bot lane already on the tower, and now Emprox themselves are going to clear out that Baron area and maybe look for picks with the LeBlanc.
Well, Dodo applying pressure where he needs to. Minkuel only just joining. He ults the wave. He's that ambitious. But I feel like it's already going to be cleared out. Minkuel going to start attacking him, but I guess it worked out. Dodo gets the kill, and kill on the turret, I should say. Now he's going to make the grand escape, which he does quite easily.
It's really difficult to chase down a Gnar. There's so many slows available, so much mobility, and getting that turret was pretty important. As we see Legacy answering in mid lane and looking for a pick on the back of that, the difference is one's an inner, one's an outer. So while they do answer the turret, I want to say getting that bot lane turret, now it's difficult for Minky to ever leave that lane unless he has teleport available, because the Gnar is going to just sit there and try and take the inhib if he so chooses.
This is not good because they're checking each brush, but Corporal's being hit again, and this is the classic from Legacy Genesis. They'll find the pick, and now do they start the Baron?
The Gnar has no rage build.
Oh,
wow!
Chaz gets the AD carry. This is huge for EMP. Shockwave gets 4, but there's no damage left. Hollow so far behind, and Farmer will chase up the kill for a double, and the eventual 4-man kill.
I don't even know how Chaz did that much damage. He absolutely murdered all of them. He basically did what you expect Orianna to do to huge groups, and now Emprox, if they don't get the Baron, they at least get Minky Whale as a consolation prize.
Well, they get the delayed ace. Minky Whale drops 2, and Emprox showing their experience as they head back to the Baron.
And now this is free. There's no way Crazy or Bushy will be able to get there in time. The question is, what do they do with this Baron? Do they all recall quickly, or do they potentially send someone top to shepherd that wave in? I think the choice of that has passed now. They would have had to send someone before the Baron dies, but because Baron is so difficult, you have to keep everyone on it. What I want to see from them is for them to go mid. Try and force for that tower, and if it's not successful, back off, take the Cloud Drake, and try and rotate your team into a side lane and have the Gnar opposite you. Potentially have the team in top side, have the Gnar bot side. Even though he doesn't have teleport, he will be able to consistently push Cho'Gath in and stop him from being able to come into fights. And probably, at this point in the time, win that 1v1.
Well, Dodo is 3, 7, 3, and 4, excuse me, onto the 4th item, but Split Pusher and the Gnar. For Emprox, it's been kind of a silent hero in a way. It's been taking a lot of these kills, a lot of these fights on. Now with the Cloud Drake, he'll be able to maneuver around Legacy Genesis, who continually try and find a pick. They've been playing around Crazy, but they can't really do that anymore considering Chaz is walking more towards the threat, and Farmer has 3 items as a Sivir.
Yeah, and when you have 3 items as a Sivir, especially when the enemy team's grouping, your Ricochet's hitting absolutely everyone, your Q's doing everything, there's not a lot you can do. That being said...
What is happening here?
Where are they?
What?
Legacy are going to steal a tower.
Going to get mid lane.
They've absolutely stolen it.
Okay.
Now, again, veteran shot calling. They see Emprox out of position. They're not quite pushing the wave in down bot. They're not able to come into the mid lane because they do have the Gnar split on the side lane. So what do? Run the mid lane, take the tower, leave like bandits in the night. It's not everything, but it is a start into working down this gold lead, which is ballooned out to about 3,500.
Considering we're going to see Emprox trading pretty shortly, you'd have to think. Tier 2 in the top lane goes down. Emprox kind of saw that one coming, and Minky Whale will now match, but where are the rest of Emproxes? They tried to push the bot side before. It looks like it's a 1-3-1 with his Baron buff up.
And I actually like the 1-3-1 more than what I suggested before, which was having 4-1, because it allows LeBlanc to do what she wants to do while your duo does what they need to do, which is take down towers.
Well, they got focus on Chaz in the bottom lane, and although Legacy Genesis before had good shot calling, this is not very much of the sort.
The thing is, they need to try and collapse on that LeBlanc. There isn't a single member that they can really send down there confidently to deal with her pushing. You already have the Cho'Gath tied up with the Gnar, so who matches LeBlanc? Orianna? She'll die. You send Varus down there, he can't 1v1 her, so it's a hard question for Legacy is how do they hold them off?
And meanwhile, Dodo in the top lane almost takes the top lane turret. Minky Whale going for the chase. Hollow's here as well. They can't get the Gnar because every single part of the map is under pressure for Legacy Genesis. The inhibitor turret falls in the mid lane, and Emprox have broken the base.
Not only have they broken the base in the mid lane, that top tower is seconds from dying. The bot tower will soon be under threat because they're not going to be able to sit down with the LeBlanc anymore with the open inhib. This is becoming more and more disastrous for Legacy. They need to find and engage quickly before they simply lose their base to the 1-3-1.
Gold is just continuing to grow, and with the split pushing Gnar, Minky Whale is really struggling. He flashes away even, exposing the top lane inhibitor. Emprox are putting pressure everywhere where they need to. Daisy will come and try and react, but Legacy Genesis, the players on Dodo, the rest of Emprox now take that advantage to go in. It's so well balanced.
And this is what you would have expected from Legacy, is a well-executed 1-3-1 where no one's getting caught. They're just all poking forward. I think Gnar's about to die. Yep, he goes down. But in return, they're going to lose an inhib, maybe 2, maybe even 3 if they can sneak their way into that top lane where the inhib's on about 5% health.
Crazy has that ultimate. No, he doesn't. It's actually on cooldown. He tried to use it before. The Brom ultimate splits in 2, and the flash away from Corporal. Legacy Genesis survived to potentially die another day.
I think the key word there is survive. It's going to be really difficult to come back into this one. Both the inhibs that are alive are very, very low, so they can never leave their base. The second Emprox decides what they're going to go for, they'll likely get it, because if Legacy step out of their base, like, for example, to try and contest this red or potentially get a camp of any sort, Emprox are going to kill them. And if they don't come out to try and find a fight or try and find something to contest on, Emprox will take the base. So it's the impossible question being asked for them is, how do you come back in a game where almost every choice seems wrong?
where Legacy Genesis have been playing through the bot side doesn't matter anymore for Emprox. Playing through Chaz, and I guess it's a very delayed start where you expect that LeBlanc with such a good first 10 minutes of the game to be like, okay, he's now 12-2 again. He's now 12-1 again, whatever. For Chaz, 4-1-8 hasn't been the, I guess, exempt performance that we saw in week 1, but he's still ahead. He's still doing so much damage. Rabadons will be the next item, and that 4-item LeBlanc, that is when we go, okay, now the damage is just ridiculous. Now Emprox are doing exactly what they should be doing.
I have to say, I love the new Rabadon's pathing being 2 needlessly large rods because it just looks silly to me.
You reckon?
It just looks like someone that forgot they had one and got a second one by accident.
You used to do that when you went, was it Void stuff? It'd be like, oh, well, I got one. I can't afford Rabadons just yet.
Let's get another.
I'll just get another. Now, those 2 needlessly large rods, they'll transform soon, but maybe we won't even see that. Emprox are walking down base again. The Baron buff has expired. It's up again in a minute 30. Another Dragon coming up in a minute 5.
I think that's what we're likely to see is them wait out for the Baron. There's no need to be reckless here. There's no need to fully commit for the inhibs that are open.
Playing similar, yeah.
They just sit there, wait for a mistake if it happens. If not, go to Baron and then force a mistake. Go to Baron, take the Dragon. Actually, no, that's going to be... Is that... No, that's not an Elder Drake, is it? I'm not quite sure. But what does matter is the Baron will be up. The Baron will be pretty uncontested. And if they are able to do that, it will be game over for Legacy.
Wow, Dodo's just sitting here and having a good time. Mickey well into the wall he goes. Farmer gets the first one. Crazy's already dead, ladies and gentlemen. Shockwave maybe a little bit too late as Way still survives. Again and again, we see Emprox dominating their lanes, but this time it was all about Chaz in the mid side. He gets LeBlanc again. He gets another win with it, and Emprox are ready to end it here.
Yeah, they will end it here. There's nothing Carbon can do. Try as he might, as good as he is on Ivan, I don't think there's a way you can 1v5 with it at this point.
Chaz takes down the last kill, an ace to end it for Emprox, and they will finish week 2 of OCS with 2 wins and Legacy Genesis going down.
I want to say it's surprising, but at the same time, I figured this is a 50-50 going into it.
Yeah.
Legacy, disappointing show first week. This one, much better by them, mind you. Very controlled the whole game. Never looked like they had just given up or lost. But from Emprox, they get LeBlanc and they play to their win conditions, which is get him ahead, have Way just really a big nuisance both in mid lane and the side lanes. And there wasn't really a weak point in the map for them, besides potentially bot lane struggling a little bit against Legacy.
But I think that was held very well by Legacy Genesis. I don't see, you know, like an early game like that going well, but for them to rebalance, kind of reset after all of that, I'm surprised it happened the way it did. But then you still have the issue of, okay, Chaz has still had time to farm, Chaz has still had time to scale, and as a LeBlanc, that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's difficult to deal with, but they did a good job dealing with it.
Yep.
There was a long time in that game. It felt like forever in the mid game where LeBlanc wasn't getting much done.
Yeah.
They were sharking around, trying to kill Orianna, and Hollow, to his credit, played that sort of passive defensive game very, very well. So credit to him, even though he wasn't able to come out with a victory.
It was still a victory for Emprox, and now 2-0 after week 2 of the OCS. We're going to have a short 5-minute break, and when we return, game number 3, which is our match of the week. It'll be Chiefs Academy taking on a bit of a Bandits in QUT Tigers. We'll be back in 5 with that matchup coming through. And back with the OCS for week number 2. My name's Jake Sarek, Sozipenko, Bradley Teagun Seymour right next to me, and we're here with our match of the day. It is now up to Chiefs Academy and QUT Tigers to impress us.
Yeah, QT, perennial underdogs at this point. Last week they pulled out the victory, but they did fall behind during that game. They fell behind, I believe the max was about 5.5, maybe 6,000 gold. Yep. So true resilience and level-headedness showed by them. And we're going to probably see the same thing. Not them falling behind.
Baron.
Not going to call that yet. But maybe the Baron dance all day. But more or less, they need to be resilient against a very, very strong team in Chiefs Academy.
I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult because with Darksider, we've seen them a little bit, I guess, a little bit sloppy in the start of the tournament. And now against Chiefs Academy, who showed a very, very big week number 1, this is going to be an issue for QUT Tigers because this was a 6th attempt Baron that worked out in the end. I'm not sure Chiefs Academy are going to be as easily fooled.
Maybe it goes to 8 attempts then. Who knows? I think the biggest question for them is how do they draft?
Yep.
Are they going to focus on things like banning out Riven because it is a stylistic, really good champ for Panda? Or do they just go stock standard, ban out the meta strength, and think to themselves, if he picks Riven, we'll answer with Ornn or a meta top champion, and just play to strengths instead of thinking about the opponent. I would like to see them play to their strengths rather than worry about their opponent's strengths, but there's a pretty good argument to be made for either choice.
Yeah, potentially, and considering that there's going to be a high priority in champions like Olaf. Aggressive junglers tonight have been kind of the medium in the OCS, and I'm more concerned about what QUT focus on the top side because that seems to be where they found their stance in the previous game. Not saying Feint didn't have a good game down at the bottom lane, but it was more about Unspecialized and, I guess, Tekka as well as Flick.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to get Morgana again, or if they do, it won't be as simple a lane for him. Now, he did fall behind in CS quite substantially, but he was still effective the whole game. He was still landing bindings. He was still always in useful places. So if they do look to go for that again, I fully expect Chiefs Academy to come out with a counter pick against it, as opposed to going to Orianna and just saying we'll take the mid as a farm lane and try and win the late game.
It's going to be a run for both of these teams. Already undefeated after the first week, of course. And for Chiefs Academy, you know these names. Isla was actually around for a while in the OCS, and Gunkrab's been through as he came through Athletico. Panda in the top lane. Your favorite Riven.
I think he's I wouldn't say favorite. I'd say he's notorious for it.
We got like 3 Rivens in the OCS
I hate
this time.
Playing against it.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely a strong player. You still have Omni and Bose as well. Omni, a great mid laner in his own right, easily OPL capable. And dealing with any of these players on their own would be difficult. All 5 of them on the same team. It's hard to even pick where the strength in terms of where they prioritize in lane will be.
Well, because for Bose as well, this is a big step up for him. He used to be on Team Nox side, and now Bose on a very solid roster has his chance to shine. A good start for week 1, but QUT Tigers did the exact same, and we were looking at Flick, who just went for Baron, who just set things up, and maybe even Unspecialized as well.
I think Unspecialized is going to be the hidden gem for this team. Being able to play off-meta and surprising picks, that's always what you try and aim for and look for when you're wanting to upset a team.
Yep.
Is bring out something they're not used to, they haven't practiced against, and trying to beat them before they adapt to it. Now, that being said, Feint and Sarnakill in the bot lane also had a pretty good game last week. Feint ended up with a pretty good scoreline. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but in laning, he just stayed quiet, kept his head down, and ended up nice and even. And I think controlled passive play from them might net them the victory if they can bait Chiefs into overextending early on.
It's different in other teams in the OCS though, isn't it? We don't have those passive lanes. There's a lot of bot lane focus in the OCS. A lot of strong AD carries when you have someone like Crazy in the mix, when you look at the talent rising through the ranks. This bottom lane is unknown, and I guess this works out for QUT.
I think anytime you're unknown, it does work out for you, because there's no expectations on you, and there's nothing they can scout on you, whereas usually you have a lot of information on the opponent, and there's a lot of expectations on them to just sort of win that lane, because who are these guys?
Yeah.
On top of that, being a passive lane is a little bit unusual. A lot of bot lanes in OS are aggressive. I'm not sure why, but we saw it when King came into the scene, and we've seen it with a lot of ADCs before where they just want to win. They want to win in the lane. They want to be the hero.
Naming
they want
lost,
to get kills. And we don't see that with QUT. We see a very passive, very controlled bot lane so far. So if they can play to that as a strength, it will likely be what carries them through to victories against stronger teams like Chiefs Academy.
Top side for QUT. Still dominant, still a solid performance last week. Remember that we saw in the OCS, we saw Flick in the top side. Like, that was his place. In Outlaws, they placed first, and it was because Flick had a very dominant stance in the top side. Going to jungle last week didn't feel like as dominant. There was still the strength there, though. I
think not just strength, but understanding of the game was helping him. Because he had played top for so long, when you move into another lane, you still have that base of knowledge to build from. What does suck is he's not going to know as much about mid lane or bot lane, so he's not going to naturally help them as much as he does, just sort of tend to gravitate to that top lane. Well,
back into picks and bans now for game number 3 for Chiefs Academy. Pretty the standard stuff that you've seen before, but focusing on unspecialized there for QUT Tigers.
I would say the Ezreal ban isn't very standard. We do see it quite a lot, but it's not first ban worthy. It's not Kai'Sa.
If I may add, for Gunkrab, he got first blood last week. Gunkrab set Chiefs Academy up for success, and it was on the back of that Ezreal, so maybe targeting something away from the bot side.
Potentially, but they've let Kai'Sa through, and they've let Rakan through as well.
Yeah.
Both strong picks. I would take Kai'Sa, Chiefs Academy opting for Rakan. I believe they gave Kai'Sa away last week as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, not too surprising for them to not first pick it. Quick response in Xayah Nami's. Very interesting.
That's a comfort, though. Sanakul picked that last week. He's picked it again. It's obviously something he feels very comfortable on.
You're right, and there is a lot to be said about just putting people on stuff they're comfortable at. But I can't help but disagree in general with a lot of OCS teams ignoring Kai'Sa as just a champion, right? We've seen it go through drafts completely. We've seen it not banned, not picked. And I'm hoping that isn't the case here, because having played against it in solo queue, having seen other regions play it, that's a very, very strong pick to just sort of ignore.
Well, maybe Chiefs Academy pick it up. I mean, they still have an AD carry. Gunkrab has this option available.
Yes,
he's picked up Caitlyn before, but this time it's going to be the Kai'Sa.
Very big fan. They also picked up Vladimir, another strong champion. Really liking their draft so far. They have the engage that they need. They have two champions that want to go deep and just go into the backline in Vladimir and Kai'Sa. So right now, it looks like Chiefs will probably solidify that in their top pick as well. And I'm liking the start of it for them. Whereas QT opted to go with Cassiopeia in the mid lane to deal with Vladimir. Pretty good matchup, but at the same time, it's very, very viable to dying to ganks. So if Chiefs look for something that heavy ganks instead of farms, it could be very, very disastrous for QUT if they're not able to mirror the jungle pathing and deal with that early on.
Well, there haven't been any jungle bans apart from that Graves over on the side of QUT Tigers. They've taken away the Fiora from Panda, but I mean, that Comfort of Riven, that's still up and available. That was played last week. So maybe for week number 2, you know, the option's still there. Riven, of course, you got to ban that one away.
I have to say I disagree with this Ornn ban from Chiefs. I think they could have very well picked this quite easily, and it slots into the team comp very well.
Yep.
That being said, they obviously have something planned. I guarantee they weren't coming into this game expecting to get Riven, so they'll likely have a pick that they've already talked about beforehand. Even perhaps Shen at this point would fit in very, very well. So maybe the Ornn was banned as a counter to whatever they're planning to pick.
Well, for Tekka, I mean, he has, I believe in the offseason, shown some prominence on that champion itself, and he's going to have to find something else. Flick looks like second time in the week. Charm.
I love when people just slam knock champions. That's confidence right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's no messing around. They know what they want.
Said at the start, lock in Olaf.
And I'm a fan. I was saying before, how do they deal with a 2v2 in mid because Cassiopeia is unable to escape? They just pick something that works very, very well in 2v2s, is very strong early, will get you out of that lane phase, get you to your power spikes, and Olaf is going to do that. So if they answer with Kha'Zix, I would still give the 2v2 to QUT at this point, and I'm liking how they built. The problem is, do they win in the bot lane or in the top lane, depending on what they pick? And I'm not sure that's quite as true as if they win in the mid lane with Olaf Cassiopeia.
I guess you also consider the fact that when we get into that plus 30 minutes, that for Chiefs Academy, they're building towards the late. They're building a jungler that can get them to that stage. And you've got a Cho'Gath now that's going to be the final lock-in. Chiefs Academy have kind of built a similar composition to last week.
Yeah, spot on. And I'm becoming more and more of a fan of Cho'Gath every time we see him. He's great.
It was Fire Panther, wasn't it? It may have been Fire Panther.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it's shown that it can be aggressive and defensive. You can leave it on the island, or you can focus and try and scale through that as well. So quite adaptive, and anytime a champion is able to adapt on the fly, very big. GP on the side of QUT, this is something we see internationally quite a lot. Now, I'm not a huge fan of it being picked up here, because it can die very, very easily to the side of Chiefs Academy if he isn't taken care of in early game. And that means Cassiopeia will be left alone. And if Cassiopeia is left alone, she can die very easily as well. So you have two champions that, while GP is a lot safer, are going to need your attention. So for Flick, his job is now even harder in terms of finding where to be on the map at all times.
And for Tekka, he was in the playstyle of, I like Galio top lane, back when the meta suited. Now he's on the gangplank, and this is okay, going to be something that I think should be looked out for, because if Tekka manages to get ahead with the help of Flick, maybe, just maybe.
It's an interesting summoner choice here with Nami. She just took Ignite, if I'm not mistaken. Now, yes, Ignite's good against Vladimir, but if you play the sort of playstyle that Nami's generally play, you want to take Exhaust, and you want to be able to just peel your team back. So, taking Ignite, a bit weird.
But mate, it's aggressive T-Gun. That's an angry Nami. Wants a kill, wants it nice and early, and going up against Gunkrab and Ayla, one of the most powerful bottom lanes, I dare say, in the OCS for this split. You have to make sure you take all your cards out early.
Not only is it a powerful bottom lane, they also have two very good champions at this point. Now, for those of you that haven't seen Kai'Sa, she's very, very strong even from the get-go. Her abilities do quite a lot of damage, and she has a very, very nice 4-hit passive as well. So, what I'm expecting from them is to pretty much all in at level 6.
Yep.
Rakan with his level 6, they're likely going to go on the Nami and try and kill him very quickly. But even before then, if Rakan's able to land a knock-up, I would be surprised if we didn't see a summoner having to be spent as a result of that almost every time.
Both of these teams finished week 1 with a win. And now only one of them can walk out here alive for our match of the day. It's Chiefs Academy taking on QUT Tigers. And very similar picks on both of these teams.
Yeah, and we see the default fan again, neither team opting to do anything really tricky, really fancy. And that, to me, is a bit silly by QUT. Obviously, this isn't a huge mistake, and it's not something that you can ostensibly criticize from them. But at the same time, they are coming into this game as underdogs. That has to be said. There's no one in their right mind is going to come into this and say QUT are the diehard favorites, except maybe QUT themselves, because being confident in yourself is always good when you're playing competitive games. I want to see cheesy things when you're the underdog. I want to see you stacking in bushes. I want to see you invading jungles early on level 1, because those are the sorts of advantages and sorts of ways you can get under your opponent's skin that will help you out in the long term.
They won't choose it this time around, and it's going to be about if QUT can maintain themselves. Coming into this tournament, you know, we're talking big about Flick and Tekka, but the other three names, with Faint, Unspecialized, and Sanakil, we're like, we don't really know much about these players. They performed in week 1, but this is a much harder opponent. For Chiefs Academy, they're expected to be a solid contender for a top 4, if not the top position, if they can continue their growth.
Now, I'm not sure they can continue their growth, but in this game, there's been an interesting development in level 1, which is starting opposite side jungles and Olaf starting on red. Generally, you see him start on blue. Being able to spam your axes willy-nilly is always very nice for you. So starting on red means he really wanted to end up bot side at level 3 and be able to impact his bot lane, which I don't disagree with. I think going into bot lane at level 3 would be great. Alternatively, he could just be trying to get blue later so he has longer sustain through his axes heading into the sort of early mid-game type area.
Shutting down Kai'Sa as soon as possible. Maybe Flick has the right idea. He's walking in early, and it looked like it could be mid or it could be in the invade, but goes straight to Raptors there for Flick.
Now this is very, very interesting and very greedy by him, trying to sort of punish Chiefs Academy and take away options for bows very, very early. I really like this.
The ward a little bit late from Omni as well, so he's not going to spot this one out. Flick gets a full Raptor camp. Bose is going to come back. Flick should be able to spot him out, and he goes to an empty camp with one chicken left.
That is always the worst feeling, when you are expecting a nice big juicy camp and you are greeted with nothing. So very good by Flick to both get in early, get there before the ward, get the creeps, and get out before Bose is able to get there. Now the question is, does he get his blue, or does Bose go in there and try and utilize his mid laner's advantage? in trying to steal away this buff.
It's going to be spotted out. Does Flick make the movement? Bose is dragging it away. Flick now walking towards Unspecialized. Should be coming to this. He asks for help. It's just going to be reset. Bose. This is still a little bit ballsy as Flick. There's Smite available. It's going to be a bit of a fight now. The collapse coming through. Chiefs Academy really want this, and Bose will get it. Flick has to flash away as well.
And that's the problem with invading early, is you are being greedy. Was Ayla just taunting then?
I think that was a taunt.
That is cute. But back on track, when you invade and when you are greedy early on, that's the risk you're taking, is being invaded, especially by a Kha'Zix, which is happy to do it. And when your lanes are able to react earlier, Chiefs having priority bot lane as Bose goes in for another invade here.
Again for Flick, the isolation's going to be here. Bose should be able to get the damage. A first blood with a flash, and he secures it.
Again, just compounding off that earlier play, he's able to go back in. He knows his lanes have priority, and he's getting paid off because Flick was greedy early on. And now, with that kill advantage, Olaf's early game strength is pretty much null and void. He's been 3-buffed, he's lost his summoners. Now, Bose has full control, and what we'll likely see is him constantly in QUT's jungle.
Guncripe gets a tag with second skin and Feint. Not going too well in this lane, but again, the sustains there from Sonic. He's out of mana. So really, it's Ayla and Feint. They're the 1v1 at the moment, because Guncripe and Sonic will just be trying to support.
The real fight in bot lane against a Nami is the battle against her mana. The second she's out of mana, you can start putting damage down. Until that happens, you just know whatever you do is going to get healed back up, going to get sustained back up. So Chiefs are already putting in work down there, taking out the mana pool of Nami. Now you'll look to see them start engaging on Zarya instead of the Nami and try and shift their focus there, because there's no real effectiveness coming from Nami anymore. She can't put down the W to heal out the Zarya. She has to conserve a little bit of mana so she can throw out the bubble if Chiefs try to engage.
I mean, at the moment, Guncripe is so confident walking forward. He's 15 CS up on this bottom lane matchup, and QT, you'd expect that Flick would try and make an impact, but after losing first blood, after getting taken down from his aggressive playstyle, Bose is in the lead. Bose has taken charge, and for Chiefs Academy, this jungle start has actually just impacted the lane more than we think.
One thing we haven't even touched on with this jungle difference now is that it's an Infernal Drake alive. With this huge advantage, there is a real threat of that Infernal Drake dying in the next 2-ish minutes, or even potentially what they're looking for right now is a dive on mid lane.
Specialized has the ultimate available. The flash forward, Hema playing Unspecialized, should be dying here, and it will be secured as Bose comes in, takes one too many turret shots, goes down to a turret.
That was very, very lucky for him to die to the turret, but getting that kill right there on Unspecialized is huge. Bose takes the gold for it, another kill onto him, so that Dragon becomes soloable quite easily for him, and also means if he goes top, if he goes bot, wherever he goes now, no matter if Olaf is there or not, Kha'Zix is going to be a giant threat and almost impossible to deal with at this point of the game.
At the moment for Omni to help in getting that kill, to push the lane forward. It's going to mean good things for the Vladimir. Omni closer to that Shurelya's and closer to that Hextech Protobelt. But a big start for Chiefs Academy, and I think this is just showing their experience and maybe the lack thereof for QUT.
Now we might see another clash in the jungle. I think Chiefs Academy have clued in on where the Olaf is, and he wisely backs away. But now there's not much that Flick can do. Bose has real control here. He's going to do a bit of a full clear here. And I want to see him start heading for that dragon the second his lanes get back into their positions. Because Omni's winning mid lane. Guncripe and Ayla are winning in bot lane. There's nothing they can do if you go sit on that dragon besides send Flick there.
T-Gun, that's more than winning. That is almost 30 CS ahead for Guncripe. That is a huge lead to start things off. And Flick needs to do something about the bottom lane. You can't forfeit it. You can't forfeit a Kaiser lane. I feel like there is something that has to be done. There's level 5 now. Bose is here as well. Sana kill. Should be saying Sana bye at this rate. And Bose, the flash forward from Ayla. One kill goes down, and that'll all they need.
That was great by Bose. Sneaks in very early on, straight onto Sana Kill. Even with the flash, you're not getting away there. What I do really like from Bose there as well is he tried for the greedy play and went on to Feint before Sana Kill had died. Now, with that advantage, what does he do? Does he try and recall early on, or does he stay out on the map and try and secure the dragon?
It was very sneaky from Bose. I don't think Flick wanted to take the fight anyway, but Bose would level up. He's just helped level up the bottom lane for Chiefs Academy. The jungle pressure from Bose has made a huge difference, and I don't think Flick or the rest of QUT are going to get away with trying to make a cheesy play in this game. They're 2,000 gold behind at 8 minutes in.
I think the next objective for Chiefs looks like they're going to take this blue away again. And now this isn't Flick's blue, this is Unspecialized's blue, and Cassiopeia really wants that early on.
But they're onto Omni right now, and Flick will be following this one up. Chiefs Academy still safe in their mid laner. Right now, no Shirelles just yet, but the tier 4 Unspecialized. The blue will be taken away for a second time from the Chiefs Academy jungler, and Bose has full reign and full control, as you can see from the wards.
And I think that's where they're going to keep doing. They seem like they're leaving top on an island. Yes, it's Klepto GP, so he is going to slowly build a gold lead, even if he maintains a slight discrepancy in CS. As you can see, he's up in gold and down 14 CS. Why that happens, I don't know.
Well, it just happens, Tegan, you know. Just happens. There's your explanation. Is that all you wanted and more?
That's all I wanted.
All you wanted. Great explanation on Specialized. The turnaround we were waiting for. He has the petrifying gaze if Omni stares deep into his soul, but he will not. Flick finally making something happen, but this is going to be spotted out. But the rest of QT already fast to move.
I think they get this.
This is a Infernal they desperately need.
I don't think there's a way that Chiefs can stop this, and that's very, very clever by QUT to take this as Chiefs have recalled. They are not on the map. Bose just went to his top side to clear it out, and QUT recognized this, quickly take away the Infernal. Huge objective for them to take while they're quite far behind in the early game.
This closes the gold gap just that little bit, and at 10 minutes for QUT, they pick up something. Bose coming on the backside, Unspecialized is about to get ganked. If he's not too careful, Omni has a transfusion plus, the flash forward. Not going to come this time. Omni doesn't have it available, but he has Ignite.
It's a bit more difficult to dive at this point. The stronger Cassiopeia gets, the scarier it gets diving her. She has very real 2v1 potential. So you see Chiefs opting to sort of shy away from it and instead take away more of Flick's jungle. And I want to see them send Bose top at this point, because if they do continue leaving top on this island, Tekka will start scaling. And that's one of the avenues QT has to really cement themselves in the mid game.
It's almost a full Trinity Force that's going to be built for Tekka. Unspecialized starting to get more of an impact in the mid lane, but it's not going to matter unless you can get something done against Omni. Transfusion's going to heal it up nice and easily. That 2k gold lead still prominent for Chiefs Academy. On the top side, Flick getting the full clear out before Bose tries to impact. Omni's there as well. Petrifying gaze, ambitious. Who dies first? It'll be a 1-for-1 trade anyway.
It's a one for one, but it's also Omni's flash, so great play by Unspecialized to make that trade. And like I said, ganking her is very scary. 1v1ing her just as scary as Bose comes in on the mid lane.
Bose can definitely win this fight. Unstoppable with the Ragnarok, turns it around. Bose invisible. What is happening here? Cannon barrage. Flick following up the fight, but Bose is already out. The undertow is going to get reset. He keeps throwing a blind axe. I think we're out of it. That was a close call.
You can see just how scary Bose is by Flick flashing while Bose was invisible. He knew that Bose has the very real ability to kill him there. As Panda goes in on Tekka.
Remember that Tekka is going to get executed with the feast. Tekka so close, flash forward, and that'll sit right nicely in the belly.
We saw it last week with Biopanther and now this week with Panda. I was saying that maybe you should bring Bose up there, but Panda gets it done on his own. And the second you get that first kill in that matchup, not only are you starting to get heading gold, but also your confidence goes through the roof. Oh, yeah. And now he knows he can take more in that 1v1.
Speaking of confidence, Bose is down on the bottom side, T-Gun, and QT are too far forward.
Absolutely too far forward. Sarnakul disappears.
Oh, and another one's going to bite the dust as well. As Fate, not even going to flash out, didn't have it. 2 for Chiefs Academy. Way too far forward.
This game is starting to spiral out of control for QUT, and we need to see what they did last week. They need to keep calm, keep level-headed, show their resilience, and not overreact. Know that you are behind, and start cutting your losses. Say, all right, we lost a bit now, we're behind. How do we stem the game? How do we make it stagnate? As opposed to going too far forward.
That is a fast Kha'Zix. Oh, my Lord. Bose getting some movement speed, but finally Panda should be going down here as QUT make the right decision.
And that's what they need to be doing. Just make these small victories happen across the map. And the only way they could have made that better was Unspecialized not having to blow his flash mid. That was the only minor improvement they could have made, but they've already got the advantage up there now. Equalize the gold there. I would say Gangplank probably ahead at this point. Now, the question is, as they try and stem the bleeding, where do they say too much? What is the stopgap for them? At what point do QUT say we can't give them anything else? Is it the mid-outer, or is it all 3 outers? And that's a question they're going to be asking themselves for the next 5-ish minutes.
Well, the question's going to come back to Flick, though, isn't it? Because Flick is actually changing this game up, and both starting to move around, but the bottom lane still seems to be the focus. Gunkrab is 50 CS ahead of Feint. The Ginsu's Rage Blade sitting in the inventory of Kaiser, and right now, Chiefs Academy, their bottom lane can fight when they want.
This is brilliant by Gunkrab to just sort of freeze this lane. They don't need to keep going for kills. The only advantage getting a kill here does is lets them get the tower, and what they're looking to is bring Bows in to do that. But until they were ready to push for this tower and try and actually do something, he just freezes a wave and costs Feint even more CS than he's already behind.
Fantastic leashing there. Gunkrab just picks up a kill. Uh-oh, Spadudios. Both comes in as well. Missed that one, but Chiefs Academy, their bottom lane continues to dominate.
And this should be the bot tower. I don't think Flick can really defend it. If he tries to, he might get dived on his own. And once this tower goes down, you're likely to see Gunkrab and Ayla end up top lane, start moving around there, start taking out that outer ring, and then it becomes really difficult for QUT to stop the bleeding, like I said before.
Well, at least for Gunkrab, he's really leading the charge. Cannon Barrage should try and clear this way, but Flick has just walked into the turret. He's confident he wants to take this. I'm not sure what he was thinking there. And Gunkrab gets his 3rd kill of the game and first turret blood.
That was greedy by Flick. That was silly. And like I said before, they need to remain calm. They need to be resilient instead of doing things like that where they're trying too hard to hold on to a lost objective. Great by Chiefs to stick it through. Know they can dive Olaf. He is a scary champion to dive. Now, where do Gunkrab and Ayla go? I expect them to end up in top lane unless this next Drake is an Infernal, in which case they might go mid, take Dragon, and then end up top lane.
Well, for QUT, they've been forced out nonetheless. Sana Cure
Wow.
just gets deleted off the Summoner's Rift.
That's unfair.
That is just incredible. 5-1 and 4. That is a dangerous bug.
I'm a support main. I don't feel good right now.
Yeah, no. Especially, I just played 3 games of Nami today, and I'm feeling it. Omni, he may be caught out himself, but Unspecialized not willing to take the fight. Gunkrab trying to get a tag so he can run that killer instinct. Chiefs Academy, 6,000 gold up in 15 minutes, and UT getting forced out hard.
So we do see the Ocean Drake spawning here. Not as big a priority, and that's likely while they're sitting in mid lane, but I do expect them to go to that after taking down this tower.
Omni not going to be able to flash forward there with the Miasma, and Chiefs Academy get the mid lane outer. This is finally broken, and there's only one left remaining on the top side. Gunkrab and Ayla, you expect them to walk there now, get a free take, and UT fall further behind. Where does it stop? Where does it end? You ask this question yourself for a composition that's going to struggle to keep up. Like Bose there in the jungle. My lord, Chiefs Academy, so darn quick on these picks.
Yeah, it's already just completely out of control. That Kha'Zix, at this point, you can't walk into your own jungle and be safe. You just have to expect him to be in every bush, to be behind every corner, ready to catch you. So QT need to start grouping up. One thing I will criticize Chiefs for, and it's a minor thing, is they didn't get the Dragon. They just moved up here and started doing what they're doing, which is taking fights.
And forcing another one there. Omni picks up the kill, and QT have got to stop fighting here. Stop. Stop it.
I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can stop fighting, because if they stop fighting, Chiefs will take every tower on the map.
Well, another one bites the dust. All the outers are down. And there is not a lane that Chiefs Academy did not win through right now. There are 2 kills over to QUT versus 13 for Chiefs Academy. It's almost an 8k, 9k gold lead in development. And Flick is trying to find a pick onto Gunkrab now. Can he survive though? Gunkrab kiting his way back and still picks up the kill. Low as ever as Feint tries to trade. Supercharged there. Kill from Feint. They will get the shutdown, but at what cost? As Bose, he's going to play the same tune once again with a double kill and an 8-1 and 4 Kha'Zix.
That Kha'Zix, I don't know what stops him at this point. He feels like he can do whatever he wants on the map, and he's earned that right with 8 kills. Now, the question is, do they just walk into this top side, clear out the last remaining vision of QUT, or do they shift focus, take the dragon, and start moving into the bottom side instead? That way, when Baron does spawn, it will be harder for QUT to, as much as it's going to be impossible for them already, contest the Baron.
It's the Baron right now. It seems like a very edible objective for Chiefs Academy top laner and for the rest of them as well. An Ocean Drake is theirs. They've deserved it. QUT lucky to walk away with an Infernal. Next one will be joining that Fiery Flame, but the Baron's the objective I want to look at next. 9,000 gold lead. Chiefs Academy, they own Summoner's Rift. And Bose, he owns Unspecialized. The burn doesn't kill him. Just Wrath's Embrace.
I tell you what, that's the only break QT have caught, because another Infernal Drake spawning after this, why couldn't that be a Wind Drake? Just give them a break. They're basically already dead.
Sustained team gets an Ocean Drake. Thank you very much. Well, it's pleasurable for Chiefs Academy, but not so much for QUT. And I don't think we've seen a dominant game like this yet, T-Gun. I don't think we've seen, one-sided fair. And this was our match of the day. QUT had a great first week. They surprised us. But against Chiefs Academy, it feels like the opponent was just too tough. It's not over yet, but for Chiefs Academy, they're making sure that it looks that way.
They are playing impeccably right now. They have been taking objective after objective. They're not overextending. What they're doing is taking them when they present themselves, but they're not just trying to force because they know they're ahead. If they were silly, you'd see them running down mid lane, running down top lane, trying to take the inners before they need to. Instead, they take the calculated, easy objectives and wait for QUT to make the mistakes that they can then capitalize on, which is very, very smart, because a lot of the times when the game gets this far out of control, you see people get a bit silly and just go way too deep.
Bose is just so fast. Like, you cannot keep up with it. He's got mobility boots, and now he's coming back in off the side. This is a winnable fight, says no one for QUT. Chiefs Academy pick up 2 more.
I think off the back of this, they're going to go to Baron. I'm not sure if there's a way QUT can stop Baron without bleeding objectives. Actually, no, they have Rift Herald still.
Uh-oh.
I think this is an inhib tower if they so choose.
Well, remember the killer instincts there. Does Guncrab take it? He does not. Ambitious as Bose. Walks forward. Chiefs Academy, 5 members strong. The Rift Herald going to charge up, and this is not looking good whatsoever. Chiefs Academy going to easily break this base.
Not only will they break the base, they'll take the inhib, and this inhib guarantees Baron for them unless Flick is able to pull off an absolute miracle and steal it away. And after that Baron, I don't think there's a single way QUT can get back into it.
12,400 gold for Chiefs Academy. Look at the individual lanes. Look at Guncrab versus Feint. Look at Bose versus Flick right now. Maybe they get a pick on the jungler. There's a shutdown. There's hope for QUT, if only slight.
That was exactly what they needed, because not only are they getting shutdowns, that'll help build their confidence back. They will keep saying to themselves, we can do this. They are human. They do make mistakes, however few they have been making. And one thing I want to point out, Gangplank is up in gold against Shogun.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. Gangplank is probably, as we've seen, engaged.
Okay, T-Gun, look, it was quick. I'll give you that one. QT lose their AD carry. And Guncrab continues to push ahead. There's a Magi's on Omni. And don't forget the mobility boots on Bose. That's my favorite part. This is when you know Kha'Zix is committed to getting in everyone's faces. The Baron's sitting there and waiting. And right now we're waiting for Chiefs Academy to either break the top lane, or go to that Baron.
What's scary for me is how fast I think Chiefs are going to do this Baron.
Yeah.
Now, I've said before, this buffed Baron is very difficult to take, but I think Chiefs can just tear this thing apart. Now, once Panda gets pressure down bot lane, they could easily just walk onto it with the amount of control they have in this jungle.
Like, this is ridiculous. Bose is just walking invisible throughout every single part of this jungle. If QUT walk out, step out anywhere, Bose is going to be there. This top lane turret is going to go down as well, and the gold lead just extends once more. 13,000. Baron's there. Chiefs Academy not pulling any risks, but finally it looks like they're heading towards it.
Now, like I said, I don't see a way for QUT to contest this. They have to check their jungle so slowly and as a team. And with Panda still down bot lane and monopolizing Gangplank's time, it's just impossible to get to this Baron unless they take risks, which it looked like Flick might do. He's starting to get there to get towards the Baron.
I mean, at this point, you have to think it's going to be absolutely free. There's no way they walk towards it. And Baron goes to Chiefs Academy, and you have to think that it's one step closer to putting the nail in that coffin.
That was probably one of the faster Barons we've seen.
Yeah.
And with good reason. 9 kills on the Kha'Zix, 5 on the Kai'Sa. They both have at least 3 items. Maybe we'll call Kha'Zix's 2.75 because he's got a bit of a variety bag there. But with this Baron, QT need to take a fight and take it quickly, because the longer they take to take a fight here, the easier it will get for Chiefs to win the game. So what I want to see from them here is stack a bush, perhaps that one down in bottom lane, because that's where Chiefs are most likely to end up, and just take the first fight that presents itself. If you don't do that, I don't think there is a way you hold them off.
They're pushed into their base, T-Gun. There's little hope right now as Chiefs Academy are barreling down. The experience in this roster, we said it could be punishing for a team like QUT, and I think we're right on the nail on that one. Ayla's just looking for a pick himself. They're going to clear out jungle, and whether they go for this dragon or whether they just go to bot side, that is the last inner remaining. Even Panda's huge. Like, he you know, convincingly didn't make that much of an impact in lane, but neither did he last week on his Riven.
I thought you just meant he was a big guy because he's pretty
well,
on the screen too.
You know, bit of both. Bit from column A, bit from column B. This inner, it's not even contested. QT is scared to go outside the base.
And with good reason. What's happened every other time they go outside the base? They die.
Oh,
big engage.
That's a big petrifying gaze. QT managed to turn this around. Ayla's out, and now 2 kills for QUT. For Panda, he lives, but Omni on the backside, that's where it really counts. The Vladimir lives. Tekka taking the one-on-one. The Hema Plague there, but with the Ignite, with the passive from Gangplank, he gets a double, he gets a triple. How is Omni still alive? Flick, the last remnant that teleports there. That is a late game Vladimir who has come very, very far.
I have no idea how he pulled that off. He was on 5%, and now he's going to sustain back. He'll be on 100% soon, and they might just be able to end the game right now.
Oh, that was climactic in a way, but I tell you what, I thought QT were finding their way back in this game, but Chiefs Academy, with Omni in the mid lane, a huge triple kill, they will once again show us how dominant they are in week number 2 as Panda's trying to clean this one up. The minion wave way too big. Panda will keep knocking on it. He'll eventually get it. And QUT miss out. Chiefs Academy pick a big win.
What a win, and what a way to end it with Panda just ignoring everyone hitting him. There was nothing they could do to stop him. Unbelievable.
Granted, I was like, wow, QUT, this is their time to shine. They're back into it. Suddenly, Omni's still in the base. Suddenly, Omni takes out on Specialized, and from there, it's a nice triple kill.
They got basically the engage of their dreams. Unspecialized gets, I believe, 3 people were stunned with the Cassiopeia ulti. They take down Guncrab early. They take down Ayla early, but Omni is still alive. That was insurmountable at the end of the game. That was just too much for them to try and overcome.
And it's Chiefs Academy, in each and every lane, they found their way through. Like, Panda expected to maybe fall behind, maybe to be impacted where Flick can go up. Nothing happened there. Chiefs Academy, every single lane, and the bottom lane in particular.
I think you're spot on. The bottom lane, just they were outclassed by Chiefs Academy. The Guncrab on Kai'Sa, he was up, I believe, about 50 CS before that bot tower fell.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big discrepancy to have, as well as all the kills he had. And then when they finally took that bot tower, now he's unleashed onto the map, along with Bose, who was just speeding through the jungle like a man possessed, killing everything in sight. I would have hated to be starting to kill that game.
I hate to be a supporter of that game with Bose running around, but Chiefs Academy 2-0 after week number 2. And after this break, we come back with our final match of the OCS. It'll be Auto Academy taking on Avant Academy. Do not go anywhere. And launch up your Dodo Sing because this is the last night or the last game of OCS for week number 2. My name's Jake Asterix, Aussie Penko, Bradley Teagun Seymour right here next to me, enjoying the fun-loving attitude of your boy here. This is our last series. This is our last game. Order, Avant. Their academies go head-to-head.
That's a feels bad calling out Dodo Sin after Sin's now gone.
Oh, no.
That's a feels bad.
I just realized.
All right, let's just focus on Order Academy versus Avant Academy so I get my mind off it. These are two teams taking a little bit of a different approach to the OCS than perhaps other sister teams are taking, in that they're looking for future talent. They're looking to nurture people and build them into potential OPL players in the future, as opposed to some people who have just put together super teams.
Now, you know Chungy, because Chungy is actually a name that's been on the roster before. People like Huey as well as a well-known support.
Yep, you're spot on. Those two are well-known, and I think the rest of them are going to be a little unknown to people. You have Quakeku up in the top lane and Alani in jungle make up their top side, and then Styled at ADC filling out their roster. People that haven't played competitive yet, that no one is really going to know. And when I look at teams like that, I think individual plays are what you're going to see in these games.
Especially when you look at the top side for Avant Academy, you got Pope up there. Serum is someone we've heard of before, and bottom lane a little bit unknown.
Now, Serum, I've heard, takes a little bit of, I'm not sure how to say, he
ramping up.
Not even that. It's that he takes advice from Omni. He knows Omni, and he tries to learn through him. So I would expect to see him play a lot like Omni, if that makes much sense, as much as Serum is a different person, and in solo queue he plays a lot of roamy stuff like Fizz and TF.
Yeah.
I think competitive way, his stylistic choices may mirror what Omni does instead of anyone else, so we might see Vladimir come out in this game.
Because Omni's old school. Like, Omni's been around since Dawn itself. Like, you saw Gandalf on Helm's Deep. Like, Omni was there. Omni was literally there for someone like, no, don't put your head in your hands. For someone like Serum, I mean, he's learning from someone who's got heaps of experience.
I don't think he's quite that old, and he might be offended if you call him that
no,
old.
but you know what I mean. He's been around for ages.
I've been around about as long as him. He has.
What
am I?
Too. Yeah, we're both old.
That's rude.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's already broken relationship. Been 2 weeks on the desk. So for Serum, this individual talent isn't enough to kind of pull through for Avant Academy, because Order Academy, I see people like Huey, who I know in the bottom lane is going to be a huge character as a support.
Also great at tipping. He was
really?
top 20 OPL tips last season.
That'll come into play as well.
I don't think so, but he needs a shout out for it. Come on, he's done well.
Yeah, you got a
better than I did.
Sweet voucher. Oh.
But I think that's what will happen is you're going to need to look to Huey and Chungy for your guidance in the game, and then potentially look to the other players for the real carry threats, the real individual plays. Whereas on Avant side, you don't have that veteran guiding you. You don't have anyone like that. You just have 5 individual players who have all built their way up in solo queue and earned their chance. I would say the most recognizable one is Serum, who has been in Challenger ladder for quite some time now, all looking to make a name for themselves. So while it may be chaotic, you're going to look for those individual flashy plays from each player.
Now remember, as we move into pick and bans here, Avant Academy didn't get to play last week, unfortunately, but Order Academy did, so it's kind of coming through with different expectations. And this pick and ban is going to define where we see that individual pressure.
And I think it's already started. Rakan is the only ban out of these 3 that you would really say is a standard ban.
Yeah.
Caitlyn is more of a stylistic type ban. It is a strong champion, but it's not a pick ban champion. It's a champion you remove if you either want to focus and get a bot lane sort of brawly matchup, or if you just think the enemy is really good at it. Talia, banning out the roamy things, the things that can impact other lanes.
Things.
Like I said, Serum plays those champions. He plays champions that leave lane and go do things elsewhere. Fizz, TF, Aurelion, Salt, Talia. So they remove what I assume is the problem one for them. Braum and Kai'Sa rounding it out. Kai'Sa, I assume that's just a strong pick ban type thing. And Braum, again, not really a real big problem down there. So Order's bans looking like they really want something in the bot lane.
Well, as the cards get taken away, Avant Academy respond with that Graves, with that Morgana pick for Nausicaa.
Order did get Ornn though. Ornn, great first pick. You can blind it into anything, so good for them. But Morgana picked up. Could go middle support.
I said it was for Nausicaa. I take it back. I was like, hang on.
But very smart pick. They just take 2 very strong picks in the meta early on. Where they go from here is the question, because now they have to start picking individual things. Do they take the top laner because they've already shown on?
Wow, no, they take Yasuo. Why not?
We've seen it internationally, right?
Many times. It is a ban. It is a priority. It is 8.8 meta. We are in 8.9. It looks like it carries over.
That's a ballsy pick.
Oh, yeah.
Just taking it
Good
flat out,
Chungy.
saying, I don't care what you pick, I'm playing Yasuo. You've already shown on as well. I'm kind of worried that they're going to struggle in mid to late game, but with Yasuo, sometimes you just end it really early on.
I mean, I could just say there could be an Ornn support. I'm just saying. It's old, I know.
I would prefer to pick Alistair here.
Probably.
With the Yasuo, but hey, that might get banned out right now. So it could go down there.
Well, where the priority lies as the Jhin gets picked up, and now for Avant Academy, they can decide a little bit on those knockups. They get rid of Trundle as the final pick because Alani hasn't got his jungler just yet, so let's see where Order Academy take their final bans.
I feel like it might just end up all on mid lane right now. Ban out the worst things that you feel match up into Yasuo, Cassiopeia, one of them, and you're pretty happy. I think that while Avant did get Graves early and a very strong jungler, there isn't really much that they can pick that's going to beat whatever order pick with Yasuo. Perhaps they go Kha'Zix, perhaps they go Olaf. It doesn't really matter what mid lane Avant pick. Order will very likely have the stronger 2v2. You know what I would love to see is Lee Sin.
Oh, yeah.
Lee Sin level 6, mid lane kick into Yasuo ulti.
Easy.
You die. There's not much you can do about it. So if there was ever a time for a stylistic choice in picking Lee Sin, now would be the time. Not banned out. Finishing off the bans, Trundle, Olaf, Cho'Gath. Olaf and Cho'Gath, more or less, just again, strong picks. Cho'Gath probably one of the better ones left against Ornn. And Olaf and Trundle, probably the two best junglers next to Graves left alive. So,
Or Lee Sin.
I'm hoping.
Or
I'm really holding out hope.
Well, because in this stylistic matchup, Avant Academy and Order Academy, they know they're quite fresh. They'll pick up the LeBlanc for the second game in the row.
Finally, Morgana goes to the right lane.
Yeah.
LeBlanc with Morgana. Now, the really smart thing to do, because a lot of LeBlancs get scared going in, think they're going to get... No way. He locked it.
Like a little schoolgirl. This is all happening so fast. And Order Academy. I'm so excited to be here. That's a Mundo. Hang on.
So it is an Ornn support.
Or is it a Mundo jungle?
Yeah. I can't even pick it at this point. Karma.
Throw it all in.
So it's Mundo jungle on top Karma support, I assume. Maybe it's not. Who knows yet? We'll wait till they get in the game before I really say it. And AV finishing off with Maokai. Back onto LeBlanc Morgana. A lot of LeBlancs get scared going in. Morgana Black Shield before the LeBlanc goes in really solidifies the fact that she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Back to the mid-jungle matchups. I'm not sure how Mundo ganks work with Yasuo. I'm going to be honest.
You throw a cleave, you throw a fire.
You don't have a knock-up. In fact, Yasuo doesn't really have any knock-ups here besides either the Ornn Ultimate or the Ornn E, so he's going to have to really fend for himself here. Perhaps they just send him off to a side lane and play the 4-1 game. But in terms of team comp, a little bit strange of a choice to give him no real reliable engage. Over to Avant Academy for team comp choices, they have a lot of pick. They have a lot of pick. So what they're going to be looking for is getting wards out early and finding stragglers before team fights start up.
See, I'm concerned because for Order Academy, this is all built on the basis of, okay, let's get styled ahead. Let's get our Yasuo ahead as well. You're in a mid lane. That's a mid lane Yasuo, not a top side. That is a carry Yasuo. And I think we're going to see a lot of pressure put there early. See if Alani can keep up with Aeons, who's on more of a carry style jungler.
I think the struggle is going to be pre-level 6 and even a little bit past 6. Mundo takes a while to ramp up. And nowadays, in the world of a lot of people having something that stops healing in Ignite, in Executioners, in Morello, once they do get Grievous Wounds, Mundo, even, I believe this is on his buffed state, is going to struggle. So how does he become effective early enough to matter against a Graves who is probably going to be invading him quite early on?
And I want to pull attention back to Serum because is that the Omni playstyle? It's not the Vladimir that's maybe a little bit different. And although there's a lot of connection between the two, at the moment I think Serum kind of taking the ball into his own court.
Well, it is a Serum champion. LeBlanc, good just in the mid lane alone, but also roams quite well.
Yeah.
So it does play towards his playstyle from solo queue. Obviously, we're not in solo queue, we're in competitive.
Not anymore.
So I want to see him get out of that lane. Don't sit in the Yasuo lane, because even though it's good into Yasuo, you can be more effective in the side lanes, maybe taking down the Ornn and stopping him from scaling, or potentially going bot lane and helping them scale up earlier.
I guess for me, the point of concern is maybe not so much about the Yasuo, it's about what happens when Mundo falls behind, or if he falls behind. Because if he falls behind, Mundo doesn't do much.
He doesn't do anything. He dies very quickly.
I said much, but yeah.
Yeah, but you said much saying he does something. He does nothing when he's behind. So as long as he's able to maintain parity, then he'll be fine. But if he does, and this is what I'm worried about, if he does get behind and he isn't able to get to the point where he has a couple items and he's able to be that beefy frontline guy, I don't know how they really keep the game going. So it's a bit of a all or nothing type comp for them.
Well, it's a Mundo jungle, and we'll shortly see, but we are in the middle of a pause, unfortunately, getting into our last game of the night. We'll let you know when that updates. But Mundo jungle onto bigger and better things. You have the Ornn. You have yourself, I guess, a medium for the knockup. I'm just more concerned about the individual lanes for Order Academy, because if they don't get off the ground, then, all right, we've got a team fight with weak laners.
I think the biggest lane you have to worry about is the Yasuo.
Yeah.
Because he is the crux of everything. Ornn doesn't pump out damage, neither does Mundo, so if Yasuo doesn't get going, you are going to struggle to get through the enemy team. So look for... I'm not even sure if Ornn will roam, but look for Mundo to monopolize his time around that mid lane. Not so much ganking, but he'll be taking camps and just sort of hovering in case things start popping off there.
Because you have to. I mean, this is what Mundo does. He hovers everywhere. He sticks around between the lanes. One more question for you, Tikon. I think in this... You know, this is going to be an individual game, right? We've got two teams that took a loss in the first week. It's that bottom lane that maybe has been more impactful tonight. And how do we progress through it? Like, does Mundo progress through it? Do we see early, like, ganks from a Yasuo comp?
No, if anyone's going to gank, it'll be the Graves. Like we saw in the previous game with Y, Graves, while he's not going to sit there and just sort of make things happen on his own, if the lane gets ahead or if the lane's in the right position, he can come in and just cause absolute havoc. So it depends on how the lane's being played and where it is positioned, but Graves can really turn the tide in that lane, and Mundo, if he wants to stop that, he has to just be shadowing Graves and stopping him from getting in there.
It's been a dangerous first week, but now in the second week, it's been even more dangerous. And yes, he's taken the old school skin. It's Order Academy and Avant Academy going in our last game.
And they're going to invade, or at least do something cheeky, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Morgana's great for invading. Probably one of the longest CCs, level 1. You can layer that if it lands. You get your Maokai to take W. Unfortunately, it looks like Order Academy have done the smart thing and just warded the bush and walked away. Now, that is not something that a lot of teams would do. A lot of teams would be greedy and not want to spend that ward, so props to Huey for throwing that out there, knowing the invade was possible. And now they concede their red side. Avant will get vision, but it's a hell of a lot better than losing a summoner or giving up first blood.
So Avant getting spotted out by this one, but I'm going to paint your attention towards Chungy right now, who's taken Conqueror on the Yasuo as that's come through, and there's been a real difference, I guess, for the Yasuo players. Staying in combat 4 seconds is pretty easy. Avant Academy, they're probably just going to back off here. And Alani and Kwaku, they start on the top side.
Speaking of rune choices, summon Airy for both supports. Now, I'm a huge fan of Spellbook in terms of supports, and no one seems to be opting for it. It seems to just be consistently never taking it, taking the lane dominant thing in summon Airy. And I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of it. What it means is we're likely to see a lot more brawling in that lane with the Poké champions.
Well, Chungy has the cleanse, but I think for Ames, it's going to be about getting an impact there early. We are, unfortunately, in the midst of another pause. It's the Mundo, man. Mundo hasn't been on the Rift in that long. It's ruining it.
Speaking of Mundo, what's your favorite Mundo skin?
Mundo file, the corporate Mundo.
Yeah.
Corporate Mundo.
That was the right answer. There was a right answer, and that was it.
You pay like 18, 20 RP for it. Of course, it's going to be corporate Mundo.
I mean, it's just throwing briefcases at people.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever worked in an office job has probably thought of doing that to someone.
Oh man, I've done that before. You know, it's great. Not to people, to
okay,
walls.
Okay.
To walls, man. It's all right. I'm not a corporate savage, but for Mundo, corporate Mundo, 100%.
Yeah, without a doubt.
100%. However, there is another correct answer. It's Rageblade Mundo that we saw there.
I disagree.
He walks funny, whips his axe.
Doesn't matter.
No, okay, it's like 720. It's an old legacy skin, old skin. It's like his first ever skin. Mundo's been around since time itself as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he was one of the initial champions, but he's definitely been around quite a while.
Been around for a very long time. For me, I think seeing a Mundo on the Rift is kind of like, it's good. You're revisiting some old emotions, but also this is a style pick we're waiting to see in the OCS. In 8.9, because of that buff to the ultimate, because of the buff to Mundo itself, I'm glad someone pulls it out, but there's a lot of confidence in pulling it out to the jungle.
Yeah, and especially just taking it. They took it pretty late, but still there wasn't a lot of synergy with it. So they just took it and said, "This is strong. We're taking it. We're playing it." So even with the buffed ulti, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like I said, I think once you get grievous wounds, it does negate a lot of that healing. And even if it's more healing, it's probably not going to be enough to really make an impact.
We saw a topside start there from Mundo as well with the help of Kwaku. So where do you go next? Do you start clearing out the jungle, maybe go for your own double buff back to the blue side, I assume? Or do you channel it around? Do you go for the intercept that early as a Mundo?
No, you definitely just farm. You just take your own stuff. You try and stay away from the graves and just take as much as you can, because you do need to get level 6 early. As much as I was downplaying the ultimate, the earlier you get level 6, the better it's going to be, because people won't have access to Morellonomicon, to Executioner's Calling, I believe the item's called.
Yeah.
You're the item guy, not me. So if he's able to get level 6 really early, he can just start running into lanes. He doesn't need to gank. He just walks into it a lot like a Scion would ultimate down it and start throwing stuff at people.
I feel like our whole pause has just been about Mundo. Like, we're just so encapped.
I mean, when was the last time you saw it played competitively?
I think never.
That's why.
Never?
That's why.
Hello? Like,
Yasuo is cool, but we see him at MSI, and we see him in competitive all the time.
So much Yasuo. We've seen, likes of international teams on him. It's amazing how the meta's changed to get to this point. Mm-hmm. But for Yasuo, like we talked about, the amounts of knockups might not be there. It might be different for, I guess, the Order Academy team to find their engages. I see a pretty safe composition on the side of Avant Academy. With the Maokai on top side, I feel like you can do anything.
Yeah, especially into Ornn. Ornn, while it's a great top pick and it's very safe, you don't really expect Ornn to just punish you and go in deep and try and get that 1v1 outplay. And Mundo, another champion that's not going to be great at sort of linking up and punishing someone and killing them. So up top lane, probably going to be left on an island.
Well, for Aeon, though, he's got a big task ahead of him. All he has to do is make sure that Alani can't get into any of those lanes and disrupt and disturb. We haven't talked a little bit too much, about the Jhin, about the Morgana and the bot side. Because for Styled and Huey, I assume that this is going to be the stronger lane. Because Huey is the standout player from his experience.
So Karma in this lane, especially with Summon area, is going to look to max Q, and they'll look to push in aggressively.
Yeah.
Now, you can only Black Shield so much, and the Black Shield will likely be on Jhin. So what's going to happen here is either the Jhin Morgana are going to land a binding, link that into the Jhin W, and look to put out a lot of damage really early on, or they're going to get shoved in and poked down by the Ezreal Qs, by the Karma Qs. And if that starts happening, you will look to see Ions linking down into the bot lane and just taking that really sketchy 3v2 without any real reliable CC, but they will have a lot of damage to help him when he gets.
Ions is waiting in that tri-brush, so he's going to obviously take that as his first obvious, like, against Styled and Huey. I think there's a point where you say, okay, look, obviously, like, you have a Graves this early. We have a low-impact jungler in Alani in the Mundo, so he's probably going to come bot side.
I wouldn't even say he's going to come bot side. Like I said before, I want to see him hovering mid and just taking camps around it. Because until he hits level 6, 7, 8, I don't want to see him in lanes. He's not going to be that effective. Yes, if he lands a cleaver, you can slowly chase someone down, but anytime they have flash after that first cleaver, or even before the first cleaver, he doesn't get the job done. So as much as I do want to see things pop off in bot lane, and like I said, with Summon area, I think it will start happening down there, I'm not expecting the Mundo to do a lot.
No, but we'll find out when we do get back in the game. If you have just joined us, we're in the middle of a game pause, and I feel like, like any other team would be great, but we have 10 players, essentially, who haven't jumped into the OCS before. Huey came through an external competition and actually made his impact there and kind of became more known. For other players, like, we've seen Chungy before, like, throughout the scene. I think back, like, the OG days of Oceania, he was amongst it. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. These are two fresh teams who we haven't put anywhere near the top 8.
Yeah, and like I said, they're not meant to be those star players. They're meant to be players you can develop, you can nurture into future stars, which is what they're going to be doing. So you'll see, in my opinion, what's most likely to happen is players from Order and Avant's OPL teams talking to and helping mentor the players into players that you could even look to sub onto the roster later in the season.
Well, we are back in. Aeon, decides not to go into the bottom lane, so welcome back onto the Rift, and I guess we'll start this game off properly this time.
Now, Ion's taking the blue here, ensures that it's not a 3-buff. Mundo can't just run around, do what he pleases. What I want to see is Mundo go something like blue, Wolves, Raptors, Recall, Gromp, and just start clearing his own stuff, whereas Ions is probably going to want to start getting into lanes and getting active.
Well, an eye on him, but an eye on Chungy in the mid lane. The experienced member picking up the Yasuo as Alani gets himself level 3. I think Serum's still there, so we're all fine.
I think the big thing in this mid lane is going to be, can he wind wall the chain out of LeBlanc? Now, it's a very reactive thing. He's going to have to time it perfectly, and if he misses with how long the wind wall cooldown is, it's going to be really punishing for him. So, as much as I love seeing Yasuo, and I think it's a great champion, it's also a very skill-intensive champion and very punishing if you make the slightest mistake.
Great champion. I mean, like, I agree, but I never thought a support would say that. It's painful to sometimes watch, you know, Yasuo that goes and pops off. Aeons, this is nice and early.
How could you think a support wouldn't like Yasuo? I get to play Alistar and set him up.
True.
Basically,
I'm talking about enemy Yasuo.
I am playing Yasuo when I play Alistar.
You really are. You are Yasuo. You're also Alistar. Aeons, you'll be walking down the bottom side, and this is a very pushed up Styled and Huey. They're in a lot of trouble.
They are in trouble, but Alani could link in here and help them out and turn it into a 3v3 if they want to extend it.
The Huey flash. Okay, that's a little bit ambitious, I guess. Away he goes.
That was a bit of an early flash, but again, I do like early flashing. I think it's a lot better than saving it till you're already dead and wasting it. I think what he was worried about was the fact that Graves was already on him, and Graves puts out a lot of damage early.
Well, early flash from Huey going to be down, and Aeon's going to repeat, come back into that lane as he now might be heading topside. Quaku started to do some damage over to Pope. I think that's Serum's build-up of us having a bit of a pause there, but still looks fine. Chungy winning out this lane nice and early, has a good start to the CS advantage, and Serum struggling to get in Chungy's face here.
He already has a pretty sizable lead, and it hasn't seemed like Serum has went for any sort of engages. You just saw him there distort in. He didn't throw the chain, he didn't throw the Citadel of Malice, so there was no actual aggression from him there. He's just playing it safe, standard, and trying to pick up CS where he can.
Finally, we see Alani. This is the Mundo going for a gank. Walking through the tri-brush. He'll be spotted. And he goes back.
I think he knew straight away when the Maokai moved backwards because of the good ward put out there that there was nothing to be found, so you might as well go back and start trying to find farm again.
Double longsword in the inventory of Aeons. He's ready to fight and ready to maybe come into the mid lane if he can, but a pretty still start when you consider what you've got on Summoner's Rift right now. Chungy doesn't have level 6, but he's outputting the damage. Alani walks through mid.
It was very interesting to see Chungy not engage there. He had Alani ready. What I think would have happened is Alani would have guesstimated where Ions is, know he's coming mid, and they do not win that 2v2. So very smart to not engage, but also not what I would have expected from inexperienced teams who will likely want to take the fights and show that they are the better player.
I mean, you've got that individual talent. That's why you're in the OCS. That's why there's 14 teams this time, but the selection process was very difficult. Roster cemented in a matter of weeks. And all these players have fought their way to be one of the stars of tomorrow. To move your way into the OPL, it begins here. You need to get wins nice and early.
Bot lane, Morgana just flashed forward.
Immediately, Nausicaa has found the pick. Aeons will get first blood.
Now that's exactly what Avant want to do. They want to go to the lane with the most CC. Now that might not be bot lane, but Morgana Q and Jin W are reasonably good at engaging. And with Huey's flash already down, that was a pretty easy get for them. Now the question is, do they just keep the pressure on bot lane? Or does Ions now look to take that kill, take that gold, and influence top lane? Because if Maokai gets ahead, Ornn suddenly isn't so safe.
But we've seen what happens when a Graves gets first blood tonight, T-Gun. We've seen the effects. It is a ripple through the game itself. And with that first blood, Avant Academy, the only reason they're not ahead in gold is because of this mid lane. Chungy's ahead. He's ahead by a huge margin and more than expected.
Tell you what, he is doing work right now. The problem I find is eventually that LeBlanc is going to leave the lane. She's going to go either to bot or to top and get there faster than Yasuo can and do more than Yasuo can because Yasuo doesn't have that knock-up wherever he goes. The only place he can go is top for a knock-up, and even then, it's not the quickest and it's not the most reliable. So what's really important is where Serum starts going from these recalls.
I guess the question for you, T-Gun, is what if Chungy doesn't follow? What if he stays? What if, you know, if he gets nothing, he gets nothing from the roams, what is more effective?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if he doesn't get anything off the roam, taking the tower or obviously getting damage on it is more effective. But that is a big gamble to take. If you choose to not follow and sit on the tower and suddenly LeBlanc gets 2 kills down there, that is a big deal and you're not winning that 1v1 anymore.
Well, Chungy's going to get some early ward control up into this top side. You can see that Aeons is moving towards Kweku as well. Avant Academy's top laner. Let's see if he finds engage.
Ornn's in some real trouble here. I think he's dead. I don't know how he gets out of here. Maokai's got a lot of CC.
Still very healthy. He walks past it, in fact, and Kweku flashes. The Ornn horn sounds. Alani's here as well. Double man knock up. Cleaver to the face, and he survives.
That was well played by the Ornn to get out. And also his jungler in position to help him when necessary. Alani's been doing a good job, just sort of knowing where Graves is, being around the same area, but not trying to force the issue.
Rageblade Mundo walking through the jungle, very optimistic as he's going to force Serum out to the right. Yeah, it's just annoying, isn't it? Just whips the axe round and round.
He doesn't carry it like anyone would.
It's so annoying. Like, I don't understand how he can play with that skin. Corporate Mundo, any day of the week. But apparently not. Huey is going to make me regret talking there. He'll flash away again, and it feels like Huey isn't getting a break this game.
That's what we're going to see a lot is if Morgana lands a bind, Jhin will then W to extend the CC duration, and they're going to put out a huge amount of damage. Probably a Jhin 4th bullet as well as a bouncing bullet. And you see right there, Huey had to flash. There was no other way to get out.
Yeah.
So now I would expect Alani's going to come down bot, and I think they win this 3v3 as long as that ignite is held for Mundo.
Well, Alani doesn't have the ultimate just yet, and this is going to be the rotation for Serum. He's getting pretty low. He can't roam with the team.
Yeah.
Avant Academy's mid laner is pretty much shut out.
Off screen there, both mids lost their flash and Serum has used his ignite. I'm not sure what happened in there, but losing flash and ignite versus just Chungy losing his flash, I would say, is a pretty big win for Chungy. Now, having Cleanse, as we see another big trade go down, having Cleanse in the mid lane, I'm not sure that was the right choice for him. Obviously, he doesn't want to get held up when he's in team fights, when he's dashing around everyone. But it also means he's losing that utility of a teleport. He's losing the 1v1 ability of the ignite, or potentially an exhaust. So
there's kill pressure there. There's definitely kill pressure there when you consider how things have been going for Chungy. The ignite maybe makes a difference, but it's a cleanse. It's a safe pick when you can't change it all game. Now it feels like Avant Academy have played their cards right. Cleaver's not going to do much. Cloud Drake.
I think what we're saying is he should have taken Spellbook.
Maybe, potentially. But right now, it seems like Conqueror Yasuo is the way to go. He's staying in combat for that long. He's going to be putting out a lot of true damage. And really, with the last breath, you stay mid-air for about a second and a half. That's enough time to get you to those 4 seconds.
Absolutely right. And as we see there, he's with those Qs, the third Q, he is fishing for knockouts. And I think he'd probably take almost every single one and just use the ultimate as poke. Even if he doesn't think he's getting a kill, putting the LeBlanc out of the lane and compounding that CS advantage would help.
Just taking himself away a Raptor. So Chungy is really showing his lead. 30 CS up, has the Zeal in inventory. And when he gets that first Phantom Dancer, it's going to make absolute work out of anyone on the map from Avant Academy. They're going to have to send multiple members to even contest him. Level 9 on Yasuo. Serum struggling a little bit here.
I think the second he does get that item, LeBlanc has to roam, because she will be in the window for being killed by Yasuo. Whereas right now she isn't, she's a bit safer, the longer that lane goes, by the way Chung is playing it, getting this advantage, getting the CS advantage, and sort of pushing her in, the harder it is going to be. So the second he backs, gets an item, I want to see Serum roam probably the bot lane, given how it's played by Nausea and Pluto, but he has to go somewhere else.
Well, Banner of Command picked up for the top side. Kweku is going to make that lane so annoying for Pope. And considering that the Maokai, he doesn't have Banner of Command yet, so someone has to come up here and Pope, Chungi, Alani coming up. He's got a Twisted Advance out, send down a Bramble Smash, but Ornhorn, good flash from Pope.
He should not be alive. That man needs to be on that Netflix series because he should not have escaped there. And he somehow weasels his way out, loses his tower, fair enough. But I tell you what, surviving there, that's impressive.
That was the last second flash. That was a microsecond flash. That was good reaction. And again, we're being surprised by this team that did not play in the first week. This is their first OCS match. Not officially, but on the rip.
Now, he has lost that tower. He's got back, got his own Banner of Command. So now the tank fight will continue. But they've already lost the global gold. They need to equalize that somehow. And I think they should do that through bot lane because that has been the place that Avant have been doing well.
Getting forced out of the jungle. Alani trying to impact himself. And it's been very back and forth. I mean, this could be our closest game of the night. Even though there's a 2K gold lead by Order Academy, these teams are matched in areas like the jungle. Aeons and Alani, they've been trying to get into lanes, and the only person who's been successful as far is Aeons and the Graves.
I think the big deal is, even though Aeons is being successful, the majority of that gold lead is on Yasuo. And we were saying before, Yasuo is going to be a lot of their damage, and he needs to be doing well, and he's doing just that. He's getting ahead already. He's already got the Phantom Dancer. I need Serum to leave this lane and do things elsewhere because he is just going to slowly fall further and further behind if he's not bailed out.
He's 40 CS ahead, T-Gun. He's got the Phantom Dancer. And Avant Academy trying to pull the trigger down in the bottom side, but the thing is, Styled is doing just fine with the help of Huey. He's a little bit low, so maybe the next push can do something. For the rest of the map, they're trying to get Chungi, and this is right, because Serum is coming in. He won't get knocked up. Forward he goes with the wind wall.
Great wind wall. Great wind wall as we see Alani engaging down bot.
Oh, this is a Mondo kill. He just gets cleavered through the face. Aeons dropping to Alani's first.
I tell you what, I wasn't expecting Mundo to be the more impactful jungler, but he's definitely making a case for that. Taking down Ion, equalizing the 2v2 down there, winning the 3v3 for them. That's distressing for Avant because you did want to win through that bot lane, and now Order is saying that's not going to happen.
Avant Academy, their bottom lane, finally getting something done with a CS lead from Pluto and the rapid fire cannon. There should be more here. Trinity Force isn't built yet from Style, but with Klepto, he's able to maintain a bit of a gold competitiveness with that Manamune. And now, shortly, you'll see another tier.
Now, what you have to think is he is going to probably finish that Trinity Force before the next tier is built. So he's not going to be really up to power.
Oh, especially not when he dies, T-Gun. Especially not when he dies.
That's not going to help. But he's not going to get up to power until about 25, 30 minutes. And now Avant finally getting that win down bot lane, getting the kill they needed, taking the tower. They can send their duo up top lane to try and take down that extra tower as well. Or, because Dragon is spawning sometime soon, they may go mid and bail out the LeBlanc.
Rift Herald is the call from Order Academy, and maybe it's the right one considering they need to get more map pressure to match Avant Academy's bottom lane. It's another game where a Graves has severely impacted for the better for their team, and catching up to the gold gap between Chungi and Serum right now seems to be Avant Academy's impact across the rest of the map.
Now, even though Graves is impacting the map really well, it's still a struggle for him because the only lane that's really reaping the rewards is bot lane. Serum is just continually falling further and further behind. They still have him in mid lane, just struggling against the Yasuo. They've sent their bot lane down bottom without the tower, probably because the Dragon's on the map. But I don't know if Avant can win that fight. Yes, Maokai is good in the fight. Yes, Graves, Jhin, and Morgana, they're all going to be good. But on the side of Order, there isn't a single bad champion, whereas LeBlanc in team fights, that's not where she wants to be. She wants to be picking off people before team fights all around the map.
A very smart move, just missed there by Order Academy as Styled was walking towards the brush of Avant Academy. The blind pick was there. He stays alive, and now for Order Academy, more smart moves as they walk towards this Mountain Drake.
I'm not sure I love that Chungi's already win-walled. They know that's a long cooldown, so if they choose to engage from Avant Academy, they could potentially get the victory here. Maokai looking for the binds and not finding him.
3k health now as Avant Academy start chipping this one away, and they really can't get in. The Ornhorn again will get Pope, but the Drake goes over to the side of Avant Academy, but meanwhile, Order start cleaning this one up. Serum running away, and this is not good as Alani survived. Masochism for the win. Aeon's called out, and the Mundo won't finish it with a cleaver, but a double kill goes to the top side, and put it down. True shot barrage. Now for Pluto, can he trade away? The answer is no, as curtain call, the second, Styled, stop moving. Quaku's there, and he'll block the last.
How is that Mundo alive? How did he survive? There was like 3 different occasions where he's on 2% health, and he just generates enough. At one point, he got healed, I guess. I don't know. That was just insane. That was the buff coming to fruition, because if he wasn't buffed, he would be dead right now.
Reacting to a play, Order Academy. They come out better, and they're 3k gold ahead. For Alani, that, what is it, 60% at this level, I think, or 40? Something crazy now it's just been added to. In 8.10, he gets scaled back a little bit. That ultimate's still super strong. 103, and I gotta say it, Tegan, I'm gonna say it, ready? I think the Mundo pick is working. I think it's working well.
I think it's doing a lot more than either of us expected. The fact that he survived there multiple times on almost no health was what really turned the tide in that fight for them. Yes, they didn't get the dragon, but instead they got the gold lead extending a little bit more, and it's going to be even harder for Avant to take these fights. That was a pretty good one for them to take. They just could not kill him. The only benefit they're going to have is the next fight they'll likely have a bit more grievous wounds, as opposed to having to hope there's an Ignite on him.
Really, the difference right now is Chungi fought with the BF sword in his inventory. For Serum, only just picked up the Luden's Echo. I mean, it's half an item ahead, and Chungi's starting to dish out damage as well. He's 70 CS ahead of Serum. This is like the solo queue Yasuo you want. This is the Yasuo everyone dreams of, but never gets.
I think what we're going to see from this Yasuo now is get put in a side lane. Let him go, do things on his own, and just... I don't know who they have to match him. Maybe they put the Maokai there. He does have quite a bit of armor and a bit of tankiness, but even he would slowly get pushed out by that Yasuo, provided he has enough sustain.
Good block with the wind wall from Chungi there, ready to engage once more. Pope the one caught out the last breath, and that Maokai has no hope of living. As Chungi picks out the first kill, looking for the re-engage, we won't find it. Oh no, we will, and we'll also find a flash from Aeons.
The entire time that Avant's kiting back there, they're looking for binds, they're looking for Jin Ws, because as they kite back, they can slowly put out damage and then look to re-engage potentially with Jin's ult impacting the fight as well. They just weren't able to find it. And while Serum gets a turret up top, Order get the more important turret in the mid lane.
That's going to be broken up. We are going to another pause. Keep you in suspense. It's the last game. We want you to stay a while. Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. Now, of course, we will be back in shortly. For this Yasuo, it's working out. For this Mundo, it's working out. You want another pick? You know what we should do next time? Do Urgot. Bring him back in. It'll work out.
I mean, by the looks of it, whatever they wanted to pick would have worked out. Chungi just styling on his opponent. He's up, I think it was around 75 CS at the time of the pause. If he goes into a side lane, I don't think anyone can stop him. I think they will probably put him against, I guess, Maokai. And even then, Maokai, tanky, but can't stop him from taking the tower eventually, especially if he gets a bit more sustain. You put LeBlanc there, LeBlanc's going to die. She's just nowhere near strong enough to deal with him. So it depends on how they utilize the strength of Yasuo, but so far, they've done really, really well with him.
70 CS behind. That's what Serum is at the moment on the LeBlanc. Only has the first item, and Chungi's closer to completing the second. I think at the moment, it's those individual lanes that Order Academy can boast about.
I have to agree with you. I think their only weakness right now has been their duo lane against the Morgana Jhin, who have seemed quite strong. And they've done well down there to not bleed too much. Like I said, you need to cauterize the wound when you are losing. You need to just slowly let your team carry you. And that's what they've been doing. Letting Yasuo start doing work, letting Ornn do work, letting the Mundo get on the map.
I was waiting for that one.
So what they need to do now, they're up about, I want to say around 4k gold.
Yeah, almost 3-4k
They need to
gold.
start really clamping down on vision control and working out what their win condition is. Working out how they want to approach the mid to late game. Because if they approach it the same way they are right now, I'm not too sure it would work out. Right now, it seems a little hectic, a little crazy, just fights popping up and not really on an objective. They're just fighting for the sake of it a couple times.
Yeah.
So if they can sort of hammer it down, take vision control somewhere and fight around that, it'll work out really well.
We are coming back, and thank you for your patience here tonight. As Order Academy, they are actually up 3,600 gold to be precise, and second tier not built just yet, but the Mirror Mana finally stacked for Styled, and now an opportunity for Order Academy to push even further as they just recently took that inner in the mid lane.
Like I said, I want to see them put out wards before they push any further. They don't have the control in Avant's jungle to do enough. They're just sort of doing their own thing without that vision. You see a couple wards near the mid lane. That's not enough. All of your pinks are defensive still. And at this point in the match, they do not need to be defensive. You have to be aggressive. Your Yasuo is ridiculously strong.
2,000 gold ahead!
Your Mundo is almost unkillable.
How is he ahead?
Why are you not pushing that advantage into the jungle and then taking that advantage and turning it into objectives? So they need to recall as a team, get out on the map, and start taking over the game as opposed to just winning these small fights.
Finally, Trinity Force picked up, but taking on small fights continuously seem to be the aim at the moment for Order Academy as they huddle up into little groups, and it's going to be Huey sitting in mid lane, and they all look to be walking there as well. Baron live, Dragon coming up in a minute 30, and two of them have gone over to Avant Academy, so there's hope there with the Mountain Drake and the Cloud Drake. They can make these quick map rotations with the help of Serum and maybe take down some of these Albers.
It looks like Order Academy have chosen to set up in sort of an awkward 1-3-1. And with the shallowness of their vision, I'm not sold on it. The best part of it is that Yasuo is running into the LeBlanc again. They're not letting Serum bail out of this lane, which is going to be really difficult for him. Yasuo can push in the wave and leave and roam and do what he pleases, which is what we expected LeBlanc to do.
Mundo can do that as well as he walks around Baron, and now keep your eyes peeled for Order Academy. They're getting closer and closer to starting up this Baron. This will force the objective and force Avant Academy to take the fight. And you know the Order Academy, they can do the exact same thing with the help of Kwaku. When his teleport's up and available, I expect maybe a Baron power play.
I would say Baron might be a bit too ambitious right now. It is a bit stronger. We've seen teams try it again and again and falter. I would love to see them instead just take complete Dragon control. Don't let Avant anywhere near it. Just take all control of it, and that will also net you the bottom turret.
Oh, Aeon. He hasn't had much of an impact. And really, from some of these unnamed players that have just come through the OCS for the first time, I think better performances than expected, but also performances to be desired. For Chungy, we know he's been around the scene for a while. For Huey, I think expecting a lot more, but he's kept the bottom lane quite simple. For Order Academy, their bottom lane has done quite nicely. They're going to take the Ocean Drake, reap the rewards, another Ocean to follow.
I mean, we're expecting more, but at the same time, he has 100% kill participation right now.
Yeah.
Everything that's happened on the map, Huey has been a part of. And yes, they didn't win bot lane, but he's still being instrumental in their game right now. So, fair play to him. He's doing well. Ezreal likely going to back here and get a tier and start scaling. Maybe that's what Order Academy is slowing down the game for and not really pulling the trigger, is because they know Ezreal hasn't got to all of his items yet. He hasn't got the Archangels yet, so he isn't as strong as you want him to be.
I guess you know the point that Yasuo is probably going to be in a similar boat. For Alani, he might be unkillable at a point too. There is no grievous wounds yet, T-Gun. There is nothing whatsoever on the side of Avant Academy.
Yeah, they're
Alani's
really
pretty much unkillable.
They're really relying on the double ignite, aren't they? They're just saying, you know what, we think we can time these ignites well enough that it won't matter. And
well,
here we go.
Let's test it out right now. There's Masochism, and Alani's back up to full health now.
I think even with Grievous there, though, they weren't killing him. At very most, they were wounding him.
At the moment, you can't do much. Here's for Order Academy. Map controls there, but I want to bring back your point is that now control is starting to peep up a little bit, but it's still in the river. It's not going in to Avant Academy's jungle. They're maintaining vision control themselves, and that's why this game feels like it's a bit of a standstill.
Yeah, they do slowly creep up. They are on the right track. It's just they're doing it very slowly. And I think that's a result of the laning choices right now. Yasuo is going to win into LeBlanc, but he would be better served being in bot lane. That tower would be dead already. It's likely to fall here if Ornn pushes this wave fast enough because Maokai isn't TPing back, which is the right choice. But you're really limiting the effect you can have on the map when Yasuo is in the longer lane, unable to take any objective with his advantage.
Oh, this one's going to drop with the help of Demolish or not. And that goes down. Now all the outers taken for Order Academy. That gold lead is still there. It's 5,000 in the lead. But Avant Academy just feels like they're slowly losing out.
I would say they might be slowly losing a little bit, but they're also stopping Order Academy from using their advantage. Order Academy have been in this same spot where they're up quite a bit of gold for quite some time now. And they haven't made a lot out of it. So even though Avant Academy aren't doing a lot to come back into the game, they're also not losing the game right now, which is pretty good for them considering they are behind so much in terms of money and vision control.
Now finally moving forward, this is what we wanted to see from Order Academy, speeding things up at 25 minutes in the game and deeper vision. It looks like the priority's on the top side, so either a Baron play or a pick to start things off.
I think the problem for Order Academy is you don't have anything to pick with. You just have slows as we see Alani run in.
That's a pick. Alani's the pick, apparently. The Ornhorn to lock him up, and Aeon's actually collateral damages to get out, but the flash forward. Quaku, big knock up there, and that's the Yasuo what we wanted to see. Chungy gets the first one, and all hope for Avant Academy in this fight has just left out. Serum almost dies. That was his clone, but all the same, Order Academy get their pick.
And what a combo from them. I was saying that there wasn't much for Yasuo to get in with, but he gets a two-man knock-up from the Ornn, and that's his go button. They get the kill, they start the Baron, they probably get this Baron, there's no jungle to steal away, so Avant Academy might have to try and fight here to stop this from going down.
Well, Nausicaa's on the side, and it's only a Jhin, a LeBlanc. Can they actually take this? Pluto from the side trying to put out some damage, but there goes LeBlanc in. It will be secured. On the back is Chungy again. The Yasuo's on a killing spree. A well-deserved one at that.
And that was impressive by him to have the presence of mind to know he can just go in there. He can get in there. He almost got 3 kills. 2 of them escaped on absolutely no health. So really smart by him, knowing that, yes, they get the objective. Why not win more? He has now Flame Horizoned his opponent, and he's got Baron. If they put him in a lane on his own, Avant Academy have to send something like 3 people, or they're going to lose an in-hit.
And right now, you can never lock out Chungy from a fight, because Yasuo always has a key. And that is going to be a 3-0, 3-0-1. That flew right by you, that's fine. A 4k gold lead for Chungy. 4,000 gold against the LeBlanc. A 7k gold lead in total, and it's sitting on Mr. Win Wall in the mid.
I don't know what Avant Academy can do to stop him, though. Like I said, if he's on a side lane on his own against, let's say, LeBlanc, that is almost impossible for her to defend. And that's looking like what's going to happen. All Order Academy need to do is be patient in the lane with 4, and they'll be fine.
He's 3 levels ahead of Serum. He's just upgraded the Infinity Edge thanks to Quaku. He's Flame Horizoning. Well, he has Flame Horizon Serum. This Yasuo pick, I think for the OCS, where individual lanes have been impacting games, if you can pick up Yasuo and you think you're going to win lane, go for it.
Order Academy taking down the bot tower here. Chungy looked like he wanted to group with them, now he's went mid. This is where I question it. You do want him in a different lane, because he's unstoppable one-on-one. But instead they're bringing him to the fight, which means they are going to need a big knock-up from Quaku, or it's going to be really difficult for him to get in and get things done on his own.
But he's got the banned up minion, and Quaku wants to find the engage. It'll be onto Aeons with the Cannon Barrage, getting a lot of damage there. True Shot Barrage, sorry, but back into the fight and almost going down. The turret will drop. But I think also Chungy's GA.
Yeah, there you see him, he's resurrecting. Order Academy still going to get the inhib and probably get out here. But that was a pretty big investment for them. and I'm not sure it was necessary. Yes, they get the inhib, probably going to end up and then taking complete control of the top side. It was a question of, after the Orn Horn had been sounded, how does Yasuo get in? Because he had already used the wind wall onto the left side as well. So, it's questions for them. Yes, this is great. Chang'e's Yasuo, A+.
A+.
Pick it again. But
yes.
instead of putting Kiwi on Karma, perhaps you put him on Alistar or something with a knock-up to help Chang'e get active in these fights.
Because there have been some good knockups that have come through from Kweku, and that's what initiated Chang'e in the first place.
Now, Avant Academy just pinged the exact bush that Chang'e was in. I think they know where he is.
Well, Chang'e onto Nausicaa, the Yasuo gets the first, the knockup's there, last breath onto Aeon. Oh my lord, Chang'e! Can you be any more dominant?
It doesn't matter that they know he's there. He just kills two of them anyway. That is incredible. You see the strength of him right now at 501, 360 CS. The only person even close to him is the ADCs in Ezreal and Jhin. He doesn't even need a team to push.
1v3. Like, the third person was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. That's a free turret. Chang'e on Yasuo. This is my first imprint onto Auto Academy, and it's a good one. Back into the Orn Horn, now onto Popen. There's the knockout once again. The last breath should be the very last for Popen. Auto Academy cannot be stopped.
I don't think Avant can stop them from pushing to the end to end the game here. They're going to stay here. They've already got a wave in bot lane. They've got a Banned Cannon here as well. It looks like Order are choosing the safe strat, and I'm not going to criticize them because a lot of teams would just go for the end here, which is a little difficult considering there are 4 people up. And what they're going to do, recall as a team, buy up what you can, probably get elixirs if you have the money for it, come out into the mid lane, take the remaining inhibitor, and Avant Academy, they're going to have to look for a fight to stop them.
Well, it has been a long road for Auto Academy, but it started with the mid lane. It even started with the Mundo jungle. And what a showing so far. What an absolute showing to pick Mundo jungle in this matchup where Auto Academy didn't get a week 1 win.
And do so well with it. It seems like he's very well practiced on this champion. Such a unique pick in terms of competitive. And he hasn't stopped. He's 107. You'd expect a champion that's a frontliner to at least die once, but he's just been going forward and not caring. He knows his exact limit. We saw that earlier. And now you're going to see them siege up the final.
Oh no, last breath again. Chang'e is deleting people and Auto Academy are closed in, but Chang'e is cleaning house. Another moment where you say, why didn't we ban Yasuo? And Serum definitely feeling the impact there. He'll go golden, but it's going to be Styled who either dies or takes him out as well. Alani will take one on the backside, and an ace for Auto Academy will slowly end the game.
Chang'e might have died, but they're all dead as well. You have traded 5 people for just Chang'e.
Avant Academy are dead inside. That's after versing a Yasuo T-Gun. That's what you feel like. 7-1-3, a dominant end to a dominant game from Auto Academy, and they'll close out week 2 of OCS with a win.
I tell you what, you're not wrong about how it feels to play against a good Yasuo like Chang'e just played. That would have been absolutely soul-crushing by about the end of the mid-game there, knowing there was very little you could do to stop it.
But what a start. Like, for Auto Academy, last week they played on the Wednesday. We didn't get to see them. They were up against a pretty difficult opponent. But this week, this was their chance to shine. And I think now we see the growth and the potential growth for a team like Auto Academy.
Yeah, maybe it just relies in Chang'e getting Yasuo because he's comfortable on it. Who knows right now? But they showed they are a lot more patient than you'd expect from a team of unknown players. They were taking the very smart choices, like when they took that top inhibitor, recalling, resetting, getting your team on the same page, and then pushing up the mid for the end. So very, very important things to notice and praise them for, because a lot of professional teams, a lot of teams that know better don't do that.
Let's take a stance on the draft for a second before we move forward, because in that draft, it was the Yasuo that was in the first rotation. Sorry, not the first rotation, in the first phase before the second ban phase. And it was like, okay, we can counter this, we can choose something against the Yasuo. And for me, I was kind of thinking, well, that Yasuo kind of, against the LeBlanc, it can be difficult, but it's not really. Like, it's not the hardest matchup.
Yeah, like I said, as long as he's able to wind wall the chains, he'll be fine. And he showed very well that he win walls early and he win walls aggressively. Maybe a bit too early in some cases, but he was very comfortable in the matchup. Yeah. So very, very smart choice for them to take it early and sort of not worry about the counter pick. Yes, they banned Cassiopeia just in case because it is one of the better matchups, but he took it into what was a pretty decent counter pick and did very, very well.
And it got themselves a win, or at least there was a wider impact there from Order Academy, finishing 1-1 after week 2. That is it for our OCS for this week. And with those standings, you can see this was a big start for a lot of teams.
Blue side OP yet again.
OP! Except for
4
Die
wins. Can't have it all. Can't have it all. I'll tell you what, though. A lot of the teams that won on blue side definitely earned it. You saw in that game as well. It wasn't just because the map's different that you're winning it. Chungy popping off on Yasuo. Emprox, you have Chaz on LeBlanc yet again. A lot of these teams, Chiefs just winning across the board. There's not much you can do when teams are going to play that well.
I'm looking at Chiefs Academy as one of the dominant teams. Die Cubs are surprising us, but Intuition as well. On a lot of people's lists, I should say, is number 1. Crimson Gaming there too. But for next week, OCS continues on, and we got 13 long, glorious weeks, so you better get used to this. Next week, you can see our Wednesday matchups. Legacy, Genesis, and Darksided is one that I want to watch to see who gets off that 2-loss streak. And Emprox and Mammoth Academy might be a surprising one as well.
I tell you what, Legacy and Darksided are not 2 teams people would have picked to be an 0-2 at this point. So that's going to be a really, really important match for both teams just to get some confidence back. Then you have QUT and Order Academy. QUT, after this week, they're going to want to regain some confidence because that was a crushing loss.
After this week, I want to watch Order Academy, but for the Wednesday matches, you will find them on our YouTube on the Friday. So Wednesday, remember, is not broadcasted, but on the Thursday, Intuition and Crimson Gaming. That will define who our front runner really is, with Chiefs Academy following shortly afterwards.
What a big clash, Intuition and Crimson this early in the season.
Yeah.
You have a team that's constantly rated neither number 1 or number 2, and then Crimson always rated in the top 3. So very, very important. Chiefs versus Tectonic. Chiefs going to want to solidify how well their start's going after a great game this week. Then you have Avant and Ground Zero coming in. I want to see more of Avant. They showed that they aren't slouches. They did stay in that game quite a while.
Yep.
And Ground Zero trying to come off their 0-2 start.
We haven't seen Ground Zero just yet. You know, they've been on the Wednesday. We haven't get to see them on the screen. So maybe this is the time they turn it all around. For Bombers Academy and Die Cubs, it's one to finish it off as well. That's next Thursday on the 24th of May. But this is it for the OCS for this week. A big thank you to Bradley Teagun Seymour. I'm not going to thank myself like I did last week. And thank you to all our hardworking production. We'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. for more OCS.